Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 248 of the Noclip podcast. Coming at you live. Do I sound okay? Do I sound okay,
wonderful.
guys? Do I sound good?
Sound like you're in a hotel.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. If you're watching this on beautiful YouTube, then you are wondering, where am I? This is coming at you live from the beautiful Hilton Suites or something in San Rafael, a hotel. I'm not in Australia yet. I will be by the time this podcast goes up, or at least I'll be flying there. The Xfinity just texted my wife last night and we're like, your internet's going to be down tomorrow, which is podcast day in my household, and in yours is too, I guess. So yeah, I'm in a hotel like 20 minutes from my house, so I can use the internet. So it's great. It's a good time.
Sponsored by Hilton.
So I wish it was $100 for a day pass. So this is like a thing you can do if you want to just like hang out at a pool at a local hotel. You can get like a resort pass, day pass thing. Which I did not know about. My wife was like, why don't you just get a hotel? And I was like, yeah, but the problem is I couldn't book a hotel last night because then they kick you out, at 11
right,
and we record this at 10. But I was like, that'd be good for Shift F1 because I record that at 7 in the morning on a Tuesday. So I was like, do I have to book a hotel for 2 days to have access for this 4-hour window? Because we're also recording our Noclip 2 patron exclusive podcast later today. Oh, sorry, we're recording our Noclip or Noclip Prime, Noclip 1 patron exclusive podcast later today, right after this, which is of course a review of Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within, the greatest movie of all time. Can't wait to talk to you guys about that later. So yeah, anyway, I'm in this room. I've just realized how hot it is in this room. I have the air conditioning off, but as long as the soundproofing feels good, then we're in a happy place.
Every time I've ever gone to a hotel for work with all my camera gear, there's at least one person on the hotel staff who jokes that I'm making pornography in the hotel room. I wonder what the impression is when you walk in with a giant microphone arm and a microphone and a mixer.
I really tried to hide the mic arm. This is the big, everything else, it's just laptop and mic arm, basically. But yeah, I did. Yeah, I don't know. Post COVID, I feel like the world has been we've normalized. Everyone has a podcast now. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's true.
Our parents have podcasts now. Our kids have podcasts. It's the way you just get your social security number and you get your fucking iTunes media login and that's it.
Yeah. That's child support now. They just give you a Blue Yeti.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They say, yeah, go make some content. Send your kid out to the content farms. Dear Lord. Frank Howley, how you doing, my friend? If you had to send your children out to the content farm, what type of content would you like them to make to bring home?
Pro Wrestling.
Okay,
yeah. There was a new music video that dropped today, and Starlight Kid is featured in it from some pop star I've never heard of. But this is a big win for us today. More people are finding out. Ash Nico put a new music video out called Smoochie Girl, and Starlight Kid is featured, and they shot at Etch and Kiba First Ring. So
cool.
I've researched how to shoot stuff at that location. It's like less than like maybe like $1,000 for a day shoot, and you can rent the ring and everything. So
nice.
yeah, so people are encroaching on it, and they might blow up the spot, but it is still cool to see.
That's amazing to see. I was trying to see if there was a way I could get my daughter to watch. Like, there's no easy way to get her to expose her to Joshi Pro Wrestling, because there was like somebody was on Twitter or Blue Sky or something was chatting about that there was like a book signing happening with a bunch of or not book signing, book readings, that a bunch of Joshi Pro wrestlers were going to like libraries and going to be reading books and stuff to kids. And I was like, that'd be cool, because you walked in on me watching like WWE one time, I think it was WrestleMania, and she was like, what is this? I was like, oh shit, maybe she could get into it. But I guess it's tough with the language barrier, to say nothing of the cultural barrier for this little 6-year-old. What do you think, Frank? Any tips?
No, I mean, I was going to say, like, honestly, TJPW, our Stardom, they throw a lot of stuff on YouTube. And that's the fun thing about wrestling is, like, it's a universal language. The language doesn't matter. People are just doing moves and stunts like that. Eddie Guerrero, when he was working in New Japan Pro Wrestling, he grew up, like, wrestling in Texas, but also doing shows in, like, Tijuana. But he called the language locker room language or locker room Japanese, locker room English, where it's like, oh, it's like chokehold. Like, it's universal. So, I don't know, things like that. So, but no, Stardom does stream their live shows on YouTube. So if you go to Stardom, click the live tab, you can see all their Cork and Hall shows. TJPW is the promotion that's going to be doing there's two things they're doing at this bookstore. One is they're going to be reading storybooks to audiences. I don't know, like, I feel like most hardcore Joshi wrestling fans don't have children. It's why they get latched into this, is so they can support the idol culture. They might have kids also there too. So first they're going to read the storybooks, and then they're going to do a wrestling match in the bookstore.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah. So that's Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling. I think that's in November. They've also done matches.
Where is it?
It's somewhere. It's in Tokyo, so it's yeah. But they've also done matches on speeding trains, like on the Shinkansen.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So TJPW is like notorious for doing like fun gimmick matches, but they do tour and they will be in Vegas again next WrestleMania weekend. So yeah, you have a chance to see them.
Where else should they do it? What are other like
a
Japanese
submarine.
culture? A submarine?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want that's actually underwater, submerged in water. And space station,
Yes.
Zero gravity would be
off
really
the
insane.
turnbuckle, but you never come down. Like you do like the people's elbow or whatever, but you just never land.
You do the infinite swanton bomb. You just that'd be a frog splash that never ends. I love it. That sounds great. Jeremy, what's your favorite wrestling move of all time?
Oh, I don't know that much about wrestling. I would say anytime someone's older brother throws them off of the arm of a couch like it's a turnbuckle, that's my favorite wrestling move.
Hey, you know what the word turnbuckle is? I feel like there's a couple of like words that the WWF gave us when we were growing up that we otherwise could have lived long and prosperous lives without.
That's true.
Turnbuckle's one of
It
them.
hasn't come up a lot. It hasn't earned me a lot of points in other spheres of life.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what other ones. Jesse, any wrestling terminology you've always wanted to know about? This is, by the way, a video game podcast, everyone.
Yeah, we shift to wrestling every once in a while.
No, Shift F1's the racing ones.
Right, sorry, my bad. We turn buckle into wrestling every once in a while. Yeah, I growing up, I watched some wrestling, and I remember thinking the tombstone was the coolest thing you could do, because how do you come back from that? That's broken neck. And then people kept coming back sometimes. That was the only thing I can remember really from wrestling. I did watch Lucha Libre one time. That we were in London, Ontario, and there was a Mexican
home
food
of,
festival.
Warframe's digital
Digital Extremes,
not Eclipse.
Yeah, Digital Extremes, and also apparently an annual Lucha Libre wrestling event. We just were there because there was a market that we like going to that had like apple pastries, and we walked outside, and there were these guys in lucha outfits, and they were throwing down. It was a real event, man. We got some horchata and some chicharron, and there's just like
was it
guys
outdoors?
body slamming each other. It was outdoors, yeah. There were like it was the middle of summer, so there were hornets everywhere. It was the worst, but it was still a good time. Like you could see these wrestlers were really getting into it, man. They were like slapping their chests, and I was like, I think I get where Frank's coming from now. I might have to get into Lucha Libre. That might be my thing. You got your Japanese wrestling, I'll watch Mexican wrestling.
I could see the Hornets being like a, how like wrestling, they'll like break lights on each other like fluorescent bulbs.
Yeah.
I could see a dude like grab a
match.
handful of Hornets
Just
and like
put his head
smearing
in the
them on his
vest.
chest as a move.
It's like instead of tables, ladders, and chairs, we're going to do Canadians, Hornets, and I don't even know what else is. I don't know.
Jean jackets.
Yeah, there we go. We were in London, Ontario in the winter, so I've only ever seen the snowy, cold version of that place.
It's nice. You should come back for the summer. It's because all the kids are off.
Fucking hornets are everywhere, so I don't know.
Well, it's all right. As long as there's not a bunch of poured horchata on the ground, you should be okay.
Well, there's more likely than not, if I'm somewhere, there's some horchata poured somewhere, I'll be honest.
Everywhere you go is sticky, Danny. What's up with
I know. It's terrible. This hotel room is going to be a fucking disaster once I get
Amen.
out of here. It is cool to know that you can rent hotel rooms for a couple of hours during the day without a prostitute. You know what I mean? I thought that was just traditionally the only circumstance where you're allowed to do this. And it was, usually like a Motel 6 or something. You're not like a big... I'm in a huge room. I don't know. Yeah. I think they only have big rooms in this place. It's like, I think it's 100% empty at this hotel. There's like no one parked outside.
So this is like a regular room you're in that you could sleep in right now?
Yeah, there's a bed behind me. You see the bed?
Okay. No,
I'm
I
not
just
in like
saw
a conference room. No.
See, that's what I was thinking you would be in. Is like you got this day pass and you could just be in like a conference room or something, but you're in a real room.
The conference rooms costed more. It was like $250 for them. And they were like, oh, we have like fucking 10 seats. And like, great. Do you have a toilet I can use? Yeah. Or, you know, tiny glasses I can... Yeah. Do you have a room that probably has good audio? And I'm like, no, conference room's going to be awful and it's going to cost more. I might take a nap, you know?
Hey, why not?
Jesse,
you got the day pass. Do what you want.
Just hang out. The idea of like leaving your family and be like, I'm going out. They're like, where does he go? And you're just getting a day pass at a hotel, sick naps. It's like
going to a hotel like,
is he shooting heroin like under a bridge somewhere? You're just like taking the best nap of your life for $100.
Oh,
like, I feel like traditionally Noclip is a crew, like we are often staying in hotels in weird places for weird reasons. So like I'm sort of used to this, but staying in a hotel like off a highway you drive past all the time, just for like 4 hours during the day, it does feel a bit like I'm committing a crime or like doing something devious. Like what does everyone else think I'm doing? I didn't turn up with like, you know, swimming shorts for the indoor swimming pool they have here. You know, none of the restaurants are like, open.
What audio does he need to record that he can't record at home? Like, what sort of black market audio book?
I had to squeeze it into the conversation that the reason why I was here is because the internet was out. You know what I mean?
But maybe squeeze it in.
Yeah. Maybe I did it too. Maybe I forced it. in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Do it.
Speaking of forcing things in, shout out to our Battle Pass holders, Lovepreet, Yush, Tiny Tal, Dwayne the Rock Lobster, Anthony Thomas, Nico Pasateri, It's a Me Ferrario, Senator Armstrong, he turned into a vampire there, It's a Me Ferrario, I'm here to drink your blood, Senator Armstrong, Reed Redge, Harry Flanagan, Juice, Arno, Matt Pearson, James Brown, Mark Rojas, Quote, Tucker Morgan, David McGarry, Goddison, Sven Hooster, Pez, John Eggers, Ewan Nate, Tim Robinson, Forrest Pruitt, Dark Insanities, Jonathan Kremen, Eric Hamilton Schneider, Christoph Fitui, Enox, Cameron Laird, Zachary Snader, Alex Goucher, George Dakotas, Jacob Godserve, Anthea Jen, James Med, Tohir Teliev, and Ryson. Thank you all so much. And thank you to anyone else who signed up in the past 48 hours to who I did not get yet because the internet was out and now I'm stuck in a hotel and I can't log into my Patreon for some reasons. Thank you all so much for supporting our work. You're the best. I think it's a funny week this week. I can't tell. I was sick for a lot of the weekend, so I didn't get to play all that much that I can talk about. You guys have played some cool stuff. House of Necrosis, I'm definitely interested to hear about from Jeremy. Is that out now?
It came out right? Yesterday, I believe.
Yesterday, okay. At time of recording. It's also like pre-Next Fest week, and we have access to a bunch of demos, and obviously there are a bunch of demos kind of up already, so I think we're going through some of those. Some of those games are not ones that we're quite yet ready to talk about. We're also going to be doing a Next Fest video on Noclip 2, yada yada yada. So we're in a bit of a sort of mid-week this week. I'm going to talk a little bit about Mewgenics at some stage as well because we put that video up on Noclip 2. Jesse's got a bunch of games too, and Frank, you actually played the new Final Fantasy Tactics and that new Sonic racing game finally. So we'll talk about that and some other madness. Jeremy, let's start with House of Necrosis because I've got the feeling from you that it's pretty good because you wrote in brackets in this document, it's incredible. So without spoiling how you feel about the game, tell us what it is. What is House of Necrosis and why did you feel the need to put that very subtle note in the document?
Because I needed it to be early in the episode so that it would end up in the thumbnail and the title.
Great. Call. You nailed it. You nailed it.
I'm just psychologically engineering the podcast from the back end. House of Necrosis. This is a mystery dungeon that is themed like a retro survival horror game. It is a Resident Evil mystery dungeon is sort of the reductive version of it. It's very clearly wearing its influences on its sleeve. Like it feels directly influenced by Resident Evil. The hub world is sort of like a Spencer Mansion, off-brand Spencer Mansion. But it's got like, it feels more like it feels like a golden age Squaresoft game in a lot of ways. It's a lot of sort of like subtle things that accrue to make that feeling. It's UI, it's sound design, it's systems design. I often feel like I'm playing Parasite Eve more than I'm playing Resident Evil in some weird way. But so I'm not super familiar with the mystery dungeon genre. So some of the things I'm going to talk about are probably things that if people have played a lot of mystery dungeon games, they're going to be like, yeah, that's just like what these games are.
Well, I don't think I've even heard of the term mystery dungeon.
So mystery dungeon games are sort of like, I think they're typically procedurally generated levels, and I think they're typically like a sort of roguelite structure, but you're going into descending levels of a dungeon and sort of just like exploring and gathering gear and defeating enemies. There's like I think is like Shiren the Wanderer.
Yeah.
One of there's that. There's like the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. There is the side game in Airgees, the fighting game, I believe, has a mystery dungeon mode in it. So this is an incredibly like well-trod, popular genre that I've just never got into. Who would have thought that making one that looks like a retro survival horror game?
You're such a mark.
Would be the way to get me in the door. They just had to put a little sugar in the medicine for me. Yeah, so this is, I played the demo for this a while ago, and then Warkus, the developer, sent me a code the other day and thanked me for covering it. I just wanted to say that I got a code early for this, so I've been playing a lot of this, even though it just came out yesterday, and I absolutely adore it. So what you do is you go from... There's a hub world where you can store gear. This kind of functions like an extraction shooter. You can take gear in on a run, but if you die, it's just fucking gone. So unless you beat the game or extract with like I think it's called a rescue crystal, you just lose everything. And it's like, I don't really like extraction shooters because I hate the feeling of losing like my favorite pair of shoes. Like it just sucks so much. But there's something about it that is way more palatable to me in this context because it's not like... Because it's turn-based, and I'll talk more about the gameplay in a second, but because it's turn-based and because I'm not playing against other people, it feels like I have control of most of the factors where it's like, I can pop the rescue crystal, and then it takes 3 turns to extract, and I can always kind of like roughly anticipate if 3 turns in the future I'm going to be dead or not. The roughly is important there because, you know, you run into trouble and you're like, holy shit, I like backed into a corner and now I'm dead, and I lost my favorite shoes. But anyway, I just, it works better for my brain in this context. But so the way the game works is basically you go into the dungeon and it is a series of rooms that are procedurally generated that it's basically like grid based. You're moving one grid square at a time. And when you move, everything else on the map moves. So nothing progresses unless you are acting. And all of the enemies have different sort of patterns. So, you know, like there are some that'll just move towards you every time you move if you're within range of them. There are some, like the zombies will move towards you, but sometimes they'll like stagger a step and wait behind. And so it's kind of like you're not only exploring and getting gear and progressing through the dungeon, but you're also sort of like learning all of the rules of the world. So like zombies, I mentioned, for example, will follow you, but sometimes they'll like... If they're staggered forward, they're not going to follow you. So you can take a step backwards. They won't be directly following you. So you can take a step back, shoot them, then they'll move. And it's learning all of these rules together that allows you to look at the game board and kind of like read the play in a room. And that's what I really enjoy about this, is that it's like, initially I felt very overwhelmed because I don't know this genre that well. And I, you know, like I said, extraction shooter, like the stakes are very, very high here. I just felt like I was going to run in and like constantly lose all my rare loot that I got. But then you start like...
And yeah, is the combat like, is it, because some of this sounds like a turn-based strategy game, you know what I mean? Like where, you know, you have, is that kind of how it works, or is it more... You move, they move, and then you're like, are you casting spells that go far? Are you shooting that go, like, how does all that sort of work?
Yeah, so one like move, let's say like one move is 1 turn, one attack is also 1 turn. So cool. You get like, everyone progresses 1 turn at a time, and your turn can either be moving a single square, or you get spells to cast, which have a very nice like Final Fantasy VII animation that plays, which is hilarious. Or like shooting or swinging a melee weapon. These things all consume 1 turn. So it's sort of about like reading the play and understanding, like creating the safest possible space to attack, but also knowing that like in a crowded room, if there's, 2 spiders and a zombie around you and they're all crowded around you, that you probably aren't going to be able to get to a position where you take 0 damage. So it's often about like mitigating damage. It's often about knowing that there will be healing items later and that you have enough health to sort of like tank a few hits to make an advantageous play now or something. But it's really good. And it's got like I think the RPG systems in it are what make it work so well. I like, there's like a leveling system for the player that increases like your stats, but there's also leveling system for gear. So if you take the same rifle in over and over and over, it'll become like the sticky rifle +5 or something. And then it's like you have, and the modifiers on these weapons are also really interesting too. I kind of have a distaste for when games do modifiers on gear, but they're like just like +2 strength. Like I think it's kind of an uninterest. I mean,
5% headshot damage increase.
Yeah, it's always like the most marginal bullshit sometimes in these RPGs. But in this, it's like things that really drastically change your playstyle. So I found a jacket early on that doubles incoming and outgoing damage, and it completely.
That's brilliant.
It was awesome. And like, not only does it like speed up the rate of play, but also because you can one-shot a bunch of enemies now, it completely changed my strategy around everything. So now I'm like terrified to lose the double damage jacket. But then once I got later into a run, having double damage towards me where I had to tank more hits, I just ran into like a big tree enemy that would just do half of my health with a single hit. But yeah, so anyway, it's got like, it's funny that it's themed like a survival horror game because that's sort of just like the aesthetic layer on top of everything, because underneath this is instead a very rich sort of like systems driven mystery dungeon RPG game. I like kind of forgot I was playing a survival horror themed game after a while. I just was like driven by these systems and stuff, and constantly looping and filling my storage box with weird blue rifles.
So I think you're probably right. Like I was thinking this is probably just what playing a mystery dungeon is like. It is a little bit tense and stressful, but like you described the gameplay moment of like trying to avoid combat, tanking a couple of hits and getting out of the way. When you described this probably a year ago, I think you talked about House of Necrosis, maybe 2 years now. I was confused because I feel like survival horror, especially Resident Evil, doesn't lean too hard on combat. Like the way I play those games anyway is like trying to minimize how much combat you can do so that you have your resources and you're not worried about things or like accidentally getting into fights and losing a bunch of health. But it sounds like this is actually, because of the genre that it's in, it's still capturing that feeling of like trying to resource manage, but turning it into a turn-based thing instead of a, live dodging the zombies, getting out of the way of the crimson heads and all that. Does that hold true, or does that sort of go away with the builds that you get over time?
I think that's largely true. The ammunition is relatively scarce as well. So when you find ammo, you really want to save it for, like there are bosses in this game. And so, if you can one-shot a spider, you don't want to waste a bullet on it. You want to save all your bullets for like a giant dude who does 6,000 damage per hit. But yeah, I would say in some regards it's similar in that it's like the resource management stuff is very survival horror. But in terms of like, you're not usually running by enemies and then just kind of like ignoring them, because then they'll all like Scooby-Doo into a hallway behind you, and now you have like 6,000 zombies in the room with you. And the AI will like corner you. So if you back into a corner, they'll shuffle around, they'll form like a barrier around you, and then you have to fight your way out, and it just gets fucking...
It's like water. They like follow you and will fill the space around you. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure. Can I ask about the I guess like we'd call it meta progression, but like the run to run progression, like what are you, because you said like you lose everything if you don't either complete it or if you get out. So have you completed what, like does complete mean complete the game? And what would be the, is getting out of a run something that you sort of strategically want to do sometimes, or is it sort of like, oh, I'm going to die anyway, so I might as well just get out of here with some stuff? Like, how does that sort of work?
Yeah, it's so I have not completed a run. There are basically like many roguelikes, there are sort of biomes, and then at some point I won't spoil the way it functions, but you know how often roguelikes will have you'll get to like the
tunnel
biome
or whatever.
There's like an elevator man, and you're like, okay, now I can start at the third biome. They've got a thing like that basically.
Okay, cool, awesome.
which is, it's very clever, especially in a game like this that is so sort of it has roguelite elements. You can upgrade your inventory and have more spaces progressively, but largely the only real like roguelite element is that you're going in with better gear, which is completely, you can just like lose that on any given run. So I felt like when I unlocked the warp mechanic, I've only used it once to kind of just explore that new biome, but I went in with shitty gear because I did not anticipate that going in with sort of like middling, greens and one blue would get me far enough that I would be able to reliably extract again. So you're like building momentum. I feel like I'm not going to be using the elevator system until I'm like, got some pretty crazy gear in my storage. I also haven't checked because you do level up and get more health and stuff as you're killing enemies. And I haven't checked if the one run I did where I took the warp, I didn't check if it started me at level 1, but I assume it does. Which I anticipate you'd need even like better gear to survive with, starting stats in the new biome or whatever. But yeah, so it's very sort of like, it's what you'd expect from roguelike structure, but there's something about it that just feels like a weird sort of like, I don't know, tactics RPG is the wrong word. Have any of you played Gloomhaven?
Like the board game?
It is a board game, but there's also a very good video game adaptation of it.
Oh, okay. I've played the board game version of it, yeah.
That is more of a tactics RPG than this, but this reminded me at times of sort of like a one character Gloomhaven adjacent game.
Okay.
Again, this might just be everyone who has played 1,000 Mystery Dungeons.
Yeah, all the Sheer and the Wanderer fans are like, you idiot, we've been
doing
this for decades.
The genre, yeah. It's like if I heard a metal song for the first time, I'm like, and sometimes like the kick drum does like this crazy thing. Like, yeah, that's like every metal song does that.
Isn't it lovely though that like we, four sickos who have been playing games for our entire adult lives can still stumble into a subgenre that we feel like we don't really understand. Like it's something really cool about games. You know what I mean? There's just so much of this stuff in here that, it's, I think that's pretty neat.
Yeah, I felt the same way when I played Void Stranger because I hadn't played that many Sokoban games. And so all of a sudden it was, all these sort of like, I'm sure there were elements of Void Stranger, despite the fact that it's such a unique game, that people who are Sokoban fiends were like, this old chestnut. Like I've seen this type of Sokoban puzzle before. But for me, it was just like, this is a completely new genre experience.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. House of Necrosis then. Any we're going to do an indie recommendation video, presumably, for this one?
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Okay, cool. So, if anyone wants to check that out or learn a little bit more, head over to Noclip 2 later, or presumably by the time this is up, that will also be up. Any final thoughts on it, Jeremy? Do you have a price and all that stuff? I can't open Steam on this hotel internet. It just completely kills the call, so I'm going to rely on you guys for that stuff.
Check the price. It is $11.99 currently. It is 10% off until October 13th. So it's $10.79 US dollars.
Controller or mouse and keyboard?
I have played with, I think I played the demo exclusively with controller, and I played this version exclusively on my mouse and keyboard, and both have been fine. Yeah. This is a great game for like, if you're, how there's like games where you want to play when you're full of energy and it's like your day off and you're like, I want like a fulfilling experience. And then there's games where you're like, I'm too tired to do anything meaningful. I feel like this is a game that I could play when I'm exhausted after work and still have like a meaningful experience. It feels like it's very easy to play. You can pause at any time. You can just like sit back in your chair and slump and leave it for 30 minutes and just kind of like resume. So I don't know. It's very easy to play, but it has a lot of depth to it.
Excellent. And decent price as well. It sounds like it. House of Necrosis, available now. I'm going to talk briefly about a game that is not available and will not be available until February of 2026.
Why you got to tease us like this?
I know, but we just put up a 35-minute preview of Mewgenics over on Noclip 2, featuring Tyler Glale and Edmund McMillan. Interviews with the two of them. I have and the reason why I'm not going to talk too much about that, I want to talk a little bit about it. Most of what I have to say, I guess, is in the preview. I'm being weird about this because obviously Edmund gave me access to like basically the final build of the game like as it was in development, like their dev build basically, like 3 months ago. So I've played a lot of Mewgenics, and I've played a lot more that's in the video, which I don't want to spoil stuff and all that sort of thing. And I also don't want to just give you a review of Mewgenics now 4 months before the game comes out. That doesn't seem appropriate. But since we put the video up, I thought it would be cool to talk about it a little bit. Have you guys had a chance to watch the video yet? Because I know we just published it, like maybe it was only an hour ago, I think. So probably not.
No, I haven't seen it yet. No.
I watched a little bit of it. It was awesome. You did a really good job.
So it was. Let me just give you the skivvy then. So actually, here's the question: how much do you know about Mewgenics? If I say the word Mewgenics, what does that conjure up anything to you aside from your love? There you go.
I know a decent bit about it. It's a strategy RPG roguelike, grid-based, turn-based, building a team of cats that you are genetically engineering, breeding.
Genics. That's what it is?
Yeah, it's a...
So it's, oh my God.
So this is from, this was originally a Team Meat project. So Tommy Reffinez and Edmund McMillan, when they made Super Meat Boy, this was a project that they wanted to work on then. It sort of got an announcement trailer like 13 years ago, and has since got, obviously Ed left Team Meat, has done his own thing. He took the IP with him when he left, and then he was like tinkering on it for a while, and there was lots of different versions of it. But the version that he's been working on now with Tyler Glale, who he worked on a bunch of stuff like The End Is Nigh with, and games going back as far as Ether, back on Newgrounds. It's one that they've been working on for like 5-6 years, and it's super, super deep. So like Jeremy said, it is sort of at its heart a turn-based, grid-based strategy game, like Into the Breach, let's say. But you have 4 cats against any number of different enemies from different biomes. It could be other cats, could be other, could be spiders, could be whatever, right? This game is so big. It's hard to sort of explain what any one level might be. But basically, you're taking these 4 cats on a run through the levels, similar to what you were saying about House of Necrosis and just roguelites. There are times to get back, to leave the run, or there are times where the game kicks you out of the run back to your house. But you were basically, it says at the start, it's basically attempting to go out into the world to find money and food so you can improve your house and feed your cats. Because the 4 cats that go out on a run, they come back to this house that you have. And the house is full of cats, and there's like maybe 1 or 2 rooms in this house, and every night you hit end day, they eat food and they either fight or have sex and make kittens. And so what you're basically doing is trying to, this was what puts the eugenics in Mewgenics. You are trying to get certain cats to breed, because the cats that you bring out on the run, they can't go out on another run. They get real fucked up. Every cat gets 1 run. They can't go out on another one. So what you do is you get those cats or other cats that have been on runs that have had their stats improve and have like gotten all of these new abilities or better stats, and sometimes have gotten all these disorders. You get them to breed with other cats and make new kittens that are stronger and better and more fucked up in many ways. But the thing, and then you go on the next run and yada, 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 yada. The thing that makes this great is, have you guys played much Binding of Isaac? Are you any big
tons.
Binding of Isaac heads? Tons.
Yeah,
tons, right? Yeah. So you know the way like Binding of Isaac is like an incredibly simple game when you start playing it. And then it's the layers of depth are slowly peeled away. You know what I mean? Like there's like all the different enemies and items, and
your eyes are your tears are bombs now, and the bombs explode and heal you, and they spawn money, and that kind of shit.
100%. So imagine that, except I think he made Binding of Isaac in like 4 months originally, and now it has like 1,000,001 different expansion packs, right? But he made it it comes up in the interview. It came up in our other interview we did with him years ago, where I think he made it when they had time off after Meat Boy. Imagine that, but he's been working on it for 6 years. Like this is layers of like systemic complexity and depth that are just like constantly enjoyable. Like your cats, like from the items you pick up that like buff your cats have different classes, so you can like spec them into different, it's the meathead who punches people, fighter guy, there's the ranged person, there's a cleric, there's a mage, but then there's like thieves and necromancers, and you just keep unlocking loads and loads and loads of ones that like totally change the way you play.
And you're still just describing cats. You're not like, they're not like people who show up who are necromancers. It's just a cat who's a necromancer.
These are all cats that are dressed up and like they're weird looking because you've done 5 generations of cancer with this one type of cat. So it's like, yeah.
No, that sounds
like
right.
You can have cats that have autism, which means that like their base skills they had at the start are incredibly high, but they have a tough time adapting to new skills.
Okay.
You can have ones that have ADHD that just automatically do a turn after 5 seconds if you don't quickly pick something.
That's
like
brilliant.
you have ones that like every time, you just get like a perk that like, oh, this one now actually has like a bowel problem. So every time it moves, it's going to like shit itself and make like a toxic shit beside it. Or like, it's really good. It gets scared at ghosts. And every time a ghost appears or whatever, like every time it does a move, it'll accidentally automatically shock everyone with electricity around it. Like, it's just like some of it is like traits that they get from items or from like, they just like broke their leg in a fight, or some of it is like genetic stuff or disorders that they get. But every disorder has a silver lining. Like it's very like it's just, there's no simple answer to anything. And what's fun is like every run, I know they say when you play these games, like every run's different. Every run in this game
different.
is like, so
really,
it's so much fun because you're just like, what weird nonsense am I going to have to adapt to this time around? Or like, what weird boss strategy? Like there was one boss I fought that would just avoid every single time you attacked it. Like that, it didn't have the highest health, had like 100 health, and some of the bosses have like 250 health or whatever. But like every single time, so if I brought my fighter over to punch it and try and hit it, it would just jump out of the way. And if I used range stuff, it would just jump out of the way. And I was like, how do you kill this thing? Like I was like scrambling my head, trying to figure out how to do this. And it was also like the end boss of like the third thing. Like I really needed to kill this thing. It was the first time I got to it. My cats were destroyed. They came in with like just totally fucked up, not really spec'd properly. Health was halfway down by the time I got into the thing. I didn't have my healer got killed, so I had this like random fourth cat that joined the party that was terrible, that couldn't do anything.
He had the coat of shame on, his fur's all matted.
It's like
someone cut the poop out of that cat. Fix him.
It was like a disaster. And what I figured out was the only way to beat this thing was I had a mage who had this one spell that it had to like charge up 2 turns to use, that was basically like a comet strike that would hit like an AoE, like an area of like 6 by 6 or something. So basically what I was doing was just getting all my cats to avoid this boss as much as possible, and then get him in a corner where I could just bombard him with comet shit, and then try and get him to and because the comet would also set things on fire.
Okay.
When it might not even hit him. It's like a bunch of comets come down, so it has to hit his spot. Mightn't even hit him. You might just like avoid that time, and it would set things on fire. And then I would basically just put the other cats in positions where he would run through fire to get to them. That would like add the amount of fire he had. So like at a certain stage he had like 7 fire damage. So every time he had a turn, he would immediately take 7 fire damage. So I was just like running around in circles, occasionally throwing comets at this fucker. And like it took like 20 minutes. And at the end I actually died. My character died, and then the boss goes through a metamorphosis and died. But because there was something weird, like because I had a cat whose last thing was if it died, it would possess the previously killed cat. When that cat died, for some reason, it spawned back into its old body with 1 health. And that was the only reason I won it, right at the end. And it was just like, this is the craziest game. I was like screaming with delight. It was
that's
amazing.
fantastic. That's what I love about Binding of Isaac, and what I love about any tactics game like this is they turn into sort of like Rube Goldberg machines of gaming, of like these different levers and pulleys and marbles falling into the right spot that just like result in weird idiosyncratic gameplay moments that make no sense. Like when you're playing Binding of Isaac, you can brick your run by accidentally picking up 2 items that negate each other, and then you just can't shoot at all, which is a frustrating experience, but also is novel. And it allows you to tell these stories where, like, Danny, you're talking about running around and dodging an enemy for 20 minutes, which is like awful. That's a terrible experience. But it's funny, and it gives you a story, and it like creates these experiences that are so rare and then also hilarious. And like then your next run is perfectly fine, and you have a really cool run where you do something totally different and new and strange. I had no idea that this is what Mewgenics was. I am incredibly excited for this now. I have to go watch that preview. This sounds so cool.
Like this will be, I'm sure, an early game of the year contender next year. Like it's a very, very enjoyable video game. I'll just say that. I can't. It's also very big. Like we talk about everything up until the first chapter of this game, but like in the same way that like Isaac sort of flips expectation, especially in some of the expansion packs. Like it starts being really weird with the format and doing interesting things. Like this game does that. Like you kind of feel like you're playing like, it's like if you imagine you were playing Spelunky, right? And then Spelunky is like, and Spelunky is a similar kind of thing where it's like, it's especially Spelunky 2, it's not necessarily linear. You know what I mean? Like you can kind of go in different ways, and there are areas that are not even necessary to completing a run that you can go down, all this sort of stuff. It's imagine if you killed Olmec at the end of Spelunky 1. That was the final boss in 1, was it? I forget what the final boss was.
So yeah, spoilers.
Imagine you did that, and then you like got out of the cave in Spelunky, and then it was like, oh, okay, now we're up here. Now there's this thing we're gonna do. Like Mewgenics keeps doing that, where you're like, oh, Mewgenics is a game where you take cats on runs and they do things, and then it's like, okay, so now this is gonna happen, and then Mewgenics is like this, and you're like, oh fuck, okay, okay, I'll do that, and apparently the reason why this is, and we talk about it in the video, is because I guess they play a lot of Magic, these guys, and like they sort of realized that what they had built was a tool set, like that this game was the items and it was the classes and it was all that stuff, and actually because all that stuff works and they can add stuff into it relatively easy. It's not like the Dwarf Fortress problem. Well, it kind of is the Dwarf Fortress problem where you add something in, you have to make sure it doesn't break everything else, but it seems like they have a good system for getting that stuff in, that basically they can really fuck around with the rules and it still kind of works, and it makes it novel and interesting and weird and systemic and cool. So yeah, Ed says he thinks it's his best game he's ever made, and I think I agree. It's really a lot of fun and very silly, and the humor is great and the music is great, and the fucking, I didn't even talk about the music in the preview. Like they'll have this like really great, like sort of, I don't even know what you call it. It's like a guitar-y, jazzy kind of swing vibe to the music, and it'll all be
shoegaze in Mewgenics.
No, it's like it's real, like kind of a little bit boppy, like kind of like, I don't know, like tuning into like a radio in the desert in the 70s or something. It has like a sort of a weird like swing to it, like cigarette smoke I can smell when I'm hearing it. But you'll be hearing the music in the level, and then you'll get to a boss fight, and then the lyrics kick in, and it's the boss singing about the fucking level.
Oh, that's incredible.
Like, that's awesome.
What? Like it just does cool shit like that all the time. Like it's super slick and stylish. Yeah. Do you guys have any questions? I kind of don't want to say any more because again, I don't want to overstep the bounds of preview content here. I'm not saying anything that wasn't in the video, but I'm just kind of maybe more expressing my own personal love of this game. But do you guys have any questions about it?
I just need to address the music thing first really quick, because that is literally a thing that we joked about. I think you played, it might have been Metal Hellsinger or the other game that was similar to it at the time. But when we were talking about it, I jokingly asked you if in the songs there were like lyrics alluding to the things that were happening, like telling you that there's like a door ahead that's locked and you need a blue key. Shoot
the demon, like that kind of thing.
I was joking about it at the time, but the more I thought about it, the more I was like, ooh, like semi-diegetic lyrics in the music that's like addressing what's happening in the game is actually a great idea. I love the idea of using it as like a place for, because like the other place you would do that is you walk into the boss room and the boss is like, I'm like the big bad cat that does, you know what I mean?
Right.
But then if you just like insert it into the lyrics, it's like passive lore that's just like happening in the background.
Yeah, it's like one of them is like, he's the king of cats, and I like, it's like yeah, totally. It's like the music is fucking brilliant. Like, it's very very good. Yeah,
I'm psyched for this game.
I'm so excited for this game now. Goddamn.
Not to bring the
Outsiders got closed.
Exactly. Yeah. You mentioned Metal Hellsinger, obviously. David Goldfarb we interviewed for our Battlefield 3 video recently as well. Sweden has been absolutely decimated over the past week or so, when it comes, especially the Malmö and I think Stockholm areas. So our thoughts and love to all the folks at the Outsiders and everyone else who was affected by all the layoffs over there.
Okay. Sorry, you meant layoffs. You just said Sweden has been decimated and then kept talking.
Sorry, no, I wasn't saying there was like
what the fuck happened
you
to
didn't
Sweden?
hear.
Oh my
you didn't
God.
hear the Russians finally did it.
No, I'm sorry. The Pats played last night. I wasn't paying attention.
But that was an absolute bummer to hear. Do you have any questions?
I was curious about, because you said Into the Breach, and I think the thing that makes that game stand out as a tactics game is that it communicates everything really clearly without being overly complex. Like, it doesn't have a bunch of numbers and big lines. It's just like, here's what it's going to do, how many times. Is that same level of clarity here in Mewgenics, or is it sort of leaving you up to be confused? Because that was the thing in Binding of Isaac, was like, you don't know what these abilities are until you use them. Is that what's happening here? Like, it's just a symbol and you don't know what that means until they've done it? Or is it clearer than that?
That's a fantastic question. And I think probably the thing that I am most happy about this game over Isaac, because I think that is one of Isaac's strengths and weaknesses, because it's like its strength because it's part of the mystery of that game is and Spelunky is kind of like fuck around and find out, right? It's like, what does this object do? Like, I'm not quite sure, and you can look it up on a guide and that's cool, or you can mess around with it. This game is not like that. There is very little. I don't think there's ever, I don't know what this thing does. Sometimes there are like things like there are some objects you use that say like, it'll do this, but there will be a cost. It'll give you a little something there. But for the most part, everything is told. The UI is really well designed. I'm interested to see how they'll figure out how to use it for controllers, because it's very mouse and keyboard sort of friendly. Everything has like a mouse over and a thing, and it's the font is nice and the language is simplistic and all that. What I will say is that it has a protracted onboarding experience, because this game is deep, and there's a couple of things that didn't get into the preview, but like Tyler even at one stage was saying that like they have bunches and bunches of spells that are just flagged as like expert, and they don't appear for a while, because like we want you to get good at using the basic stuff. Like at the start you only have 4 classes of cats. At the start the experience in the house is sort of less complicated, or has less variables in it. There's a lot of things that get unlocked through the story. There's a story, like there is a campaign. There are things that are happening in this town the house is in. There are loads of biomes. There are loads more biomes than we show in the video. I think we show the first 5 or something, but there's loads more than that. And I said the classes. I'm trying to think what else was what was your question again? I'm coming off of a fever, so my head is a little bit scrambled.
I was just asking about the different elements and how they, which I think you answered my question of like whether or not they clarify things.
Oh yeah, clarify. Sorry, so the onboarding. Yeah. That's what I was getting to. Sorry.
Yes,
so at the start,
yes.
So it's very like it's peeling back its layers as you play. So like you're playing the game for like literally, I'm playing the game for 8-9 hours, and it's still like peeling back the layers, and that's why I think it's so enjoyable now that I've played 30, because it's like, now I can enjoy each little sort of micro piece of gameplay in it. There is a back at the house part, because you're either on a run or you're back at the house is actually part of like a town, and there is a map that you go to that just like shows you other houses, and you click on them and there's a bunch of like Edmund Macmillan ass people like going blah 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 blah, and the text coming up telling you stuff about them, and they're all interesting weird characters, right? But actually what you're supposed to do with them is there is like a almost Mario style sewer pipe outside of your house that you can put cats into. So you can discard cats, like cats that got killed. There's one guy in the town who really wants dead cats. There's another guy in the town who wants kittens. So if you have a cat under 1 year old, you can't bring them out anyway. I think they need to be 3 to go on a run. You can, and each day is a year, basically, or whatever. Each day just makes them pass an age. You can donate to them, and you're donating these cats to these people, and they're giving you extra things. Like they're giving you sometimes information that you can use to breed them more, or tooltip for your menu, or we sell more cat food in the shop now, or whatever. And then you're also you're using your money to buy like furniture for the house, because the more furniture that'll basically like increase comfort or increase whatever, all these stats so you basically make the sex room. You make one room that's really comfortable and really good that will guarantee that any cats that go in there will bone, and then you put 2 of the cats in there and you keep the rest in the other room.
And then you have the shittier sex room where if they want to, people are going to be watching. It's,
And you have no control. You hit end day and it goes, all right, these 2 cats had sex, but one of them wasn't into it, so nothing happened. This one, they got at it, and they had 2 kittens, and it shows like 2 kittens sliding out of one of the cats in like perfect Macmillan way,
There's a Hilton employee outside of the room right now. They're like, this is why.
Yeah.
This is why he had to rent a hotel
about
room
eugenics
to
and
record.
cats having sex at his house.
This is why he
in a
couldn't
little
record at
dungeon.
home. This type of shit.
So I guess I could talk about this game all day because it's so complicated and or complex and interesting. But yeah.
It's sort of an interesting thing that like an emergent game design thing that in games like Spelunky or Isaac, because they're real time, I feel like it's more allowable to have these esoteric elements that are not telegraphed, where it's just like you got the weird symbol and you're like, oh, now everything like bursts into flames when I shoot it. Versus yes, I feel like there's a genre expectation in turn-based games in general, but also like I guess just like strategy RPGs. The fantasy of that genre is much more about control and like mastery.
Outcome. Like understanding the outcome. Yeah.
It's more fun in a game like Spelunky when things go wrong. I feel like in a strategy RPG, if it's like, oh, what, you didn't know what that did and it killed everyone, you'd be like, well, that sucks. I've been playing this 100%. For like 35 fucking minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's cool that they kept a little bit of that intact with the like this will have unintended consequences or whatever, however they phrased it. But yeah, I could see a world in which it's just like the spell is just like a water droplet, and you're like, is this gonna kill everyone when I use it?
And totally. And I think like one of the things that it does well is that it obviously explains all those things, but there are still elements that you have to figure out yourself as a player. Like I think the number one of that is like enemies. Like there's loads of different types of enemies in this game. It's not just like other cats. Like there are like loads of different types of cats. Tomcats that are like big beefy ones that like walk incredibly slow, but once they get to you, we're gonna like take off half your health in one shot. There are like there's like ghost things that like can like appear behind you. There's like water creatures that like will be on one side of the map, but then their tentacle will pop up in a different spot and smack you if you're beside water. And so learning all them is fun. Like, and the game, if you mouse over them, will give you a little bit of information about what they are, but it's not going to tell you like, oh, they do this, they do this, they do this. You have to fight them and see. And a lot of them are really interesting. Like when I got to the caves, like the bats were really good at dodging shots, and I could not, I was trying to figure out how. So there's still like a great layers of trying to figure stuff out outside of just how should I best use my spells. There's also like mystery in the world about sort of how all this works, which I think really works as well.
Very cool. Yeah, that's an interesting design distinction as well, is that like in this genre, you want to have the mystery be around like reactivity as opposed to like activity. Like the things that the player is doing should be calculated, and then the things outside of their influence can be esoteric and mysterious, because then that's the input. Like the output should be discrete and clear and understandable to some extent, but the input is like where you can hide esoteric bullshit.
I'm going to leave with one anecdote, and it's not mine, it's Ed's, and it's in the video. But I think it's a really good example of what's interesting about this game, is that he had some. So there's like lots of spells and passives and objects you can get and abilities that will like spawn other creatures that can help you, like little grubs and spiders, and or you can just have like, there's a class that's just good at, you know, insect husbandry or whatever, right? So you can have all these like little mobs helping you around. Often by the end of a run, you might have a couple of them, and I've had a few where it's been like super helpful to have them. Just like they're doing their, some of them, sometimes you can control them, sometimes they're just doing their own thing. It's really, like I said, it's systemic. Everything's interesting and weird. He had, I think it was a necromancer, I think, who had risen a bunch of dead cats, like zombie cats, like cats they had killed, and then the necromancer had risen them up again to fight for him, and it was against a boss fight. And then he ended up getting this spell, which basically did it so that the whatever action I think the cat did, the other cats would do it. And the thing he wanted to do was like spin around in circles. It was called synchro spin or something, right? So it was like a multi-hit attack, right? That was pretty good. And he was like, oh, great, it'll work. I've got like my 4 cats are here. If I do it, they'd all do it. But then he was like, wait, but the zombies we resurrected are also cats. Like, does that mean they'll also, like, he didn't know. He was like, this is his game. And he's like, well, the way they make the game is that, like, you know, the way they code the game is very much like this sort of systemic, you know, object-based, whatever, logic-based thing. And so he just hit it to see what would happen. And yeah, all of them did it. Like, all 4 cats and all of the other ones that he did it. Like, so that's the game we're talking about, where you're just like, is this going to work? Because if this works, it's going to be pretty fucking cool. And then the game does it, you know? So yeah, it's a very cool thing. I'm excited for people to play it. February of next year. Sorry, folks. That's probably my last
far away.
Coverage
It's
on
already
Mewgenics
October.
for a minute. That's true, actually. It's not too far away. That's true. Get ready for Valentine's Day with Mewgenics. And go check out our preview over on Noclip 2, you numpty. I'm going to let Frank Howley pick one here. Can you pick one of the last 2, one of the new ones first? And we'll get to UFC 5. I promise.
Yeah, running on the thing of covering tactics games and mystery dungeons. So I played Final Fantasy Tactics, the Ivalice Chronicles, whatever the subtitle they wanted to throw on.
I think you nailed it. That was good.
But this is the newest remaster remake. Actually, it is a remake of Final Fantasy Tactics, because I looked that they didn't have the original source code, so they had to reprogram it from scratch.
Wow.
But this, yeah. So Final Fantasy Tactics, I had never played Final Fantasy Tactics. It's constantly cited as like one of the best games of all time. I've always been intimidated by its difficulty. Like when I was going through all the Final Fantasy games and researching it, everyone was like, oh, if you play this, you got to make multiple save states because this might happen here. You might get screwed, whatever. So I was so intimidated. I tried playing the PSP version, and like, I think I did a little bit of it, and I was like, this is too much for me. And then I settled on like Fire Emblem, which was way more simpler for like 3DS at the time or whatever. But with this new remaster, they announced like, oh, it's going to have an easy difficulty mode. There's going to be a lot of quality of life features, smooth it out. There's like auto saves and stuff. So I gave it a shot, and I haven't dumped a ton of hours into it, but I'm also like intimidated by how many hours one could dump into it, because it does famously have like an insane job system, and part of the fun of Tactics is just building an army. And same thing with like, I mean, a lot of these games have this, but like, it seems like you can customize your playstyle in any way you want to, and like break the game. But as me trying it out for like the very first time, I am very charmed by it. It's like what I really like about Final Fantasy Tactics compared to other tactics games I've played is like, I'm used to like XCOM and even like Marvel Midnight Suns, where there's these giant maps and you're traversing them. Final Fantasy Tactics is like a very small map, so the battles are like very quick and intense. There's maybe one prep round of like move your units here, and then by the next round it's like dozens of attacks going off at once, and so it's like, I know Jeremy is a big fan. They've played Tactics before and all that, but as someone who's never played it, I'm super charmed by it. And again, it's got extremely cute chibi art style, and I think the remaster like preserves it. They don't try to, it seems like there's a soft filter on it, but they don't do too much to like reinvent the graphics or change it, so it's preserving it. So you have this very like Game of Thrones, like serious medieval story happening, but it's all these very adorable chibi characters just walking in place. And so what this also has is there's now English voiceover and Japanese voiceover, which wasn't there before. And so, yeah. And then like you can also fast forward battles when other people are taking their turns, things like that. But yeah, I'm just kind of getting into it and I'm hooked. And thankfully, yeah, because there's like the easy difficulty, I'm not having issues with it, so I'm just diving in and enjoying it. And I think what it is, I think it's just like damage scaling. Like I think you do more damage and take less damage, which is great for me because like, okay, cool, I can learn the game. If you want to, you can change it anytime. But yeah, I'm just kind of getting started with it. But I know Jeremy has like probably beaten this hundreds of hours. I don't know. What's your history with Tactics?
No, I have beat Final Fantasy Tactics Advance twice. And Final Fantasy Tactics, I have started like 4 times and never beat. I don't know why. I'm fucking bad at Final Fantasy Tactics, like the normal one.
It's hard.
Yeah, it's like a hard game. I don't know. I feel like maybe the multiple save strategy is what I was missing because I often feel like I've bricked my run in some capacity. But there is a point that I hit in the story where there's like a hard fucking wall. But yeah, maybe the remaster is a good way to do it. I feel like well, I guess I was gonna say the fast forward, but I guess I have emulated it in the past and that has fast forward. But yeah, no, I also we talked about this briefly on a previous podcast, but I do really like the look of the remaster. I'm on record as a remake hater, but the way that they've like softened the pixel art but dirtied it up with the sort of like magazine stipple. The whole remake looks like a magazine printout that you're reading about Final Fantasy Tactics.
That's cool.
Which I think it's such a good look too, because like for me as a kid, that was like that aesthetic is directly tied to a lot of emotionally charged memories I have about video games. Where like one summer before Kirby Superstar came out, I had a Nintendo Power that had like a 4-page spread about Kirby Superstar, and it was my most anticipated game. And I used to go to my grandmother's in upstate New York for like several weeks every summer, and so I brought that Nintendo Power with me, and every day I would just like read these 4 pages about Kirby Superstar and look at the fucking screenshots in the magazine. And so for me, there's something about like the weird sort of magazine stippling effect that they've put on this that like reminds me about not the aesthetic of video games, but the aesthetic of like being excited about video games to come or something. This is a very deeply subjective thing, but I imagine I'm not the only person who has that weird association between magazine stipple and that.
That's class. Yeah, I'm feeling nostalgic looking at the, if anyone sees me here on my phone, it's because that's what I'm using to do Steam. So I'm not just like texting here.
You like whatever. So what were you saying about magazines or something, Jeremy?
You want to come over and see all my fucked up cats? That could be real or about Mewgenics, actually. We just adopted 2 barn cats too. Yeah. We got 3 fucked up cats.
You should breed them and see which one gets like a milk bottle when it's born.
They've all had their... I believe they chop their penises off. I think that's what happens.
Okay,
that's the science.
The medical term for it.
Yeah, that's what Bob Barker says at the end of The Price is Right every episode.
Folks, don't forget to chop all your cat's penises off.
This looks pretty. Yeah, it looks pretty. It looks. I am like tempted to give this a roll myself. It has such like a cute little matchboxy sort of feeling to it.
Yeah, I really want to play this. I think the Ivalice Chronicles, the problem that Final Fantasy Tactics has had, I probably beat it or like got really close to beating it when I was like 12, 13. I really liked, because I played a Yu-Gi-Oh! Tactics game. I was really into Yu-Gi-Oh! As a kid, can you tell? Probably yes is the answer.
Beyblade?
Yeah, love Beyblade. I cried at an episode of Beyblade. I was a huge loser and still am. I'll cry at it again. It was good. His favorite Beyblade broke. I played the Yu-Gi-Oh! Tactics game and I was like, this is fun. I wish this was less annoying because Yu-Gi-Oh! Takes forever to do. Everything's like overly written for no reason. So I heard about Final Fantasy Tactics because I'd never played a Final Fantasy game before. That was probably the first one I played. That and Dirge of Cerberus. My taste is ridiculous. What is wrong with me? And the story for Tactics, Dirge of Cerberus. It's Final Fantasy 7. Are you right? That's not right. Yeah. Final Fantasy Tactics, the story is really good. Like
it does have one of the best Final Fantasy stories.
Like no question of the ones that I've played. I mean, 15, 13, some of 14. That's it. 1 and 2. Tactics story is really good though. I think just in general, it's a really good story. Like it's one about betrayal and the way that war impacts society on a deep level, on a level that you can't even comprehend, and how that fractures out through all these different groups. Just the way that it's presented is so well done. I think the tactics gameplay is really good. Triangle strategy is a modern one that I think almost reaches that level. I really like the story in Triangle Strategy, but I think it's probably more visual novel than it is tactics game. But the problem that Final Fantasy Tactics has had is there's so many different versions of it. Like there's the War of the Lions version. I think there's a PSP version of it. There's like A2 or something. I don't know if that's a sequel or related in some way.
That's a sequel to Final Fantasy Tactics Advance.
It does have a 2 in the name. So I guess that makes sense. It's like Final Fantasy Tactics
Final
Advance
Fantasy
A2.
Tactics Advance 2, but I think they just call it A2.
Yeah, okay, that makes
So
more
presumably
sense.
there was a Game Boy Advance version as well?
Well, yeah.
So Final Fantasy Tactics Advance is the Game Boy Advance version, but it's not like a remake of Final Fantasy Tactics. It's like a different Final Fantasy Tactics game.
But then they made a sequel and called it Advance 2, and it wasn't on the Game Boy Advance.
It was on the DS,
it was on
right?
the DS. That's why I think that's why they called it Final Fantasy Tactics A2, because they were like, well, it's not Advance anymore.
Got it.
I thought it was 2 screens, A2.
I thought it was A2, like A2 Brutus.
Hey, we got 2 screens now.
That works too. Hey, we got 2
they
screens.
really wanted to get all the Roman heads in there.
Yeah. They're, all those
A2.
Roman gamers. But now this new version, there's like some version of Tactics doesn't have the translation that's this, but this version has that translation, but it's missing some of the content from this version. This has the voice acting in the Final Fantasy 16 IMDb like screen thing where you could see what happened and all the characters and all that. But like,
so this is like the King James Bible version, is it? We're saying it's like
yes,
sort
exactly.
of an accepted modern interpretation of it.
Square Enix said it's okay. You can have these apostles, but not these ones. It's all
Yeah,
right.
if you're an Orthodox Squaresoft person,
to get all the spooky shit.
Yeah, exactly.
They also said that they like tried to re-envision the PS1 version, because the PSP stuff added like extra jobs, extra story stuff, and they're like, that stuff is cool, but we're just gonna try to remake all the PS1 original stuff. So it's like, which is good as someone who's never played any of it. It's like sometimes I get so like the most like overwhelming thing in the world is when you buy like a deluxe edition of a game or game of the year thing of an old game, like you boot it up and it's like, oh, this DLC, this DLC, this DLC,
Oh my God.
this DLC.
Binding of Isaac.
Yeah, and you can't wade through what is like the core game and what's all this advanced stuff. And I've done this before, but I've started like a DLC campaign in something, and then I'm like, this happened. I started the most random game, Dead Island 2, whatever.
Oh, funny.
I just picked a mission, and all of a sudden I was stuck in some DLC chapter that's meant for post game, and so I was
the
under
worst.
level, and I was like, this sucks. What the? And I dropped the game for like a year, and then I came back and bumped the difficulty down, whatever. But it was like, so thankfully this is like, okay, cool. So I'm not overwhelmed, and I'm playing it, and like the one thing I think I realized that by bumping the game down to easy mode, you do more damage, which means you're getting through the missions faster, which means you're technically getting less XP. So that hasn't messed me up yet, but I'm like, oh wait, I need to grind, or maybe now I grind but then turn the difficulty to normal. Like it's like, oh, okay, I'm starting to like get more confident in the game, because I realize like that. So that's the thing that's notorious with Final Fantasy Tactics is like, you never want to waste a turn. So every time, like you only have a few units per mission. If those units don't attack anybody, they don't get any XP or job experience points.
Oh.
So only the units that are actually engaged in combats and doing actions take XP. So the optimal way of like min-maxing the game is like, if your unit isn't doing anything, use a potion, use a spell, or just hit your teammate. Yeah. So if you just attack your teammate, you'll get XP. So like... So that's amazing. So like you can get an item early on that's like throw rock. So it's like people do this where they'll just leave one enemy alive, and then the other 6 units are just throwing rocks at each other to like max. So like that's where you unlock the game, and that's where people like grind out stuff before the first mission, but you don't want to grind too much, because this is what I've heard, story missions are set certain levels, but random encounters will be scaled to your level. So I think the way I'm supposed to play it is just play it, and then once I get to a story mission that's too hard, grind a bit and keep going. But you don't want to over grind your XP, but job points you do. So it's like, it's so nuts. Like I've looked at guides and stuff like that, but it was so nice just now. Just all right, play the game on easy mode, and I'm not getting lost and messed up. And yeah, it's really, really cool, and I can see how addictive this game can be. And this also makes me think of like, oh my God, maybe one day I'll get into Disgaea. So Disgaea is like the super anime chibi, like where they like almost make fun of tactics, because everything is like 9999999 HP, like it's insane numbers and very, very over the top anime stuff. And I'm like, oh, I want to get into Disgaea now. But let me keep going with tactics a bit.
Awesome. There's something you brought up is that like the like appeal of Final Fantasy Tactics and Tactics Advanced to me is beyond them being like tactics RPGs in the Final Fantasy world. I also feel like they're much more sandboxy than typical Final Fantasy games.
Yeah,
like it's not just a like combat approach, it's also like sort of a design ethos that reverberates throughout them, where like the fact that you can keep one fucking Goomba alive and throw rocks at each other to level up is like this hilarious emergence. It reminds me of like in Kenshi, you can capture someone and take them as a prisoner or a slave and then use them to train your unit's combat. So you can just have a guy that you bring around with you to beat up so that people get better at beating
Skelly.
people up. Yeah, exactly.
What are you doing that for? Stop
That,
hitting
but
me.
like horrifying. But like in Tactics Advance, it sort of like commits even more to the sandbox approach, where there is sort of an overarching narrative, but ultimately in Tactics Advance, you're just like a bunch of mercenaries on an open map taking missions and going around and doing whatever you want and using the money to build your party. But I like how like Tactics and Tactics Advance sort of embrace this like, you know, it's like we were saying with Mewgenics. Like, it's fun when you find weird shit where you're like, will this work? Can I get away with this? And then the game, the road rises to meet your feet there. And it's like the game facilitates you playing in experimental ways.
Yeah. It's all systems, baby. It's like immersive Sims. Like, that's what I find so exciting about that sort of non-genre, but like design ethos, I guess, is like you get to do whatever you want and watch. You get to poke the system and watch it poke back at you, to quote the Eggman himself, Northern Lion. Frank, I had one question about the gameplay, because I feel like tactics can be a lot, and it's because you're playing on an easier difficulty, it's a little bit more straightforward. But like, do you ever find yourself almost like in a checkmate situation where you're just moving your pawns around, waiting to not get hit, hoping like the AI stops in place? Because that was a problem I had with Tactics a lot, and Tactics Advanced to an extent, where like you would just be in a position where you're constantly moving back into a corner and then like hoping the AI forgets that they can move forward and uses a spell that does nothing, and then you can take a pot shot. Like, is that happening to you?
I had that happen once. It was like, this is like when I was still learning the game and I realized none of my units could revive anybody.
Right.
And so I had an enemy. Like, there was like a, not like a like a castle, and there was a doorway, and I had my mage die in the doorway, which was blocking all of the units. So it was like, oh my God. So like, and so but none of my units could revive the dead mage. And the way the game works is like, if your character dies, you lose that party member forever.
Yeah.
And so I was like running around, checking, like moving all my units, trying to get close to this mage, seeing if I could revive anybody. And none of my characters had it. And so eventually I was like, okay, let me just, I think I just like closed the game or like whatever. But then I saw like the game makes autosaves, I think mid-battle, like when you're about to take your first turn or before you even deploy your troops. And I think, so I rebooted the save to like when you start deploying your troops, and before you start the actual battle, you can go and like, all right, let me spend my job points, learn spells. So I learned the elixir, I learned like revive and elixir and stuff. And like the thing I also didn't realize is once you learn a spell, you have to equip that spell. So it's like, oh my, like these are like quality of life things that every game has, but it's like, oh, this is a 1997 game. And they have done a lot of quality of life stuff, but something as basic as that, like, oh no, I still have to like equip some things. And so, just learning that. So that's happened once so far out of like maybe my like 4 or 5 hours of playing it. But thankfully, like the fact that, and I'm still making like 2 saves just in case every time. But yeah, the game's auto save is like kind of nice, which I don't know if they had ever had that before. So I appreciate that. Yeah.
Awesome.
Final Fantasy Tactics, the
Ivalice Chronicles.
Ivalice?
Yeah, Ivalice is like
Yotai?
Ivalice is the like world or continent or whatever that this takes place Final Fantasy 12, I think 14, I don't know, but it's a shared universe. So yeah.
There you go. Final Fantasy Tactics, the Ivalice Chronicles, available now, $50. Worth the cost of entry there, Frank Cowley?
Yeah, I mean, as someone who's never played it, absolutely. It's like going to a museum or something where I'm like, oh my God, I can appreciate this art finally. So yeah, $50 for this.
Love it.
Absolutely.
Quick little Mewgenics one, just because you mentioned the mage being down, and it reminded me that one of my favorite things in Mewgenics is it's awful when it happens. You have your 4 cats, you got them through a run, they level up. You're like super careful about getting these cats home, and if you have 3 cats, you're basically screwed. Like, you need all 4 of them. If you're in a fight and one of them gets downed, you can obviously get them rezzed and stuff if you want, but while they're down, they can still get hit, and if they get hit too many times, their body will just explode and they're gone. They do not resurrect. So like they resurrect at the end of a battle, but like, yeah, at the end of a battle, everyone resurrects and gets a little bit of health. And it's like, yeah, you did it. But if like they're on the ground there and you like the boss does like a stomp attack on them, they'll just go and then like there's a sound that like, oh, like the audience going, oh no, happens in the background. It's like, it's heartbreaking when it happens. You're like, oh no, shit. It's good times. Anyway, I'll stop talking about Mewgenics from
stop hyping it up
now. Okay. Right. Jesse, let's talk about Absolum. This is so this isn't out at time of recording. There is a demo. Have you gotten early access to this bad boy, or have you gotten early code, I should say?
Yes, we did get access to this a little bit early. It drops on the 9th, so it should be out by the time you're listening to this, unless they make some drastic decision last second. Absolum I don't know how you say it. I'm going to say Absolum personally. For people who don't know, probably because it's not super excited, or there's not a ton of excitement around it rather, but it is a very, very good game. This is a 2D beat 'em up, side-scrolling sort of roguelike game, I guess you could, roguelite, I guess, because there's like progression stuff that comes up later. What's the difference between those two? Doesn't really matter. This game is fantastic. It looks amazing. Like it looks like Hellboy, like the Mike Mignola, is that right? I think that's right. Version of Hellboy. They've said they're inspired by a bunch of stuff that I've never seen before, but that seems great. Like one of them was like Head Looper or something like that. Like a French comic, really, really cool art style. I've been looking into the inspiration stuff, and I'm like, I need to read these just because they look pretty. I want them on my wall. But the gameplay of Absolum, the reason that I think I wanted to bring it up here is not just because I played an early version of a game and I feel inclined to talk about it, but also because it's really, really fun. So this is developed by Guard Crush Games, who are doing the gameplay part of it. They made Streets of Rage 4, the older version, or the newer version rather, of a Streets of Rage game, which plays great. I think is a lot of fun. They also made Streets of Fury EX. I think that was the game they made before Streets of Rage, which is like live action shots of people. Like, I guess they've made it sort of in the same way they made the original Mortal Kombat and all that. They like did the shots of people and digitized them, which was cool. And then the art for the game is done by Supamonks, who have done a couple movies, and they did the art style and the animation and everything, which looks great. But the gameplay of it, because it's a 2D beat 'em up, there's a lot of action there. It's a lot of combos, pressing buttons. It's you can call it a button masher if you want. You play as these two characters. One's a sort of elf rogue character who like does melee punches and then has one special attack that she does, which is a huge sword slash. And then there's Arcana you can use as well. That's like an upward slash is really cool. And you can change that with over time you unlock more of them. And then the other character is this dwarf guy who, you know what he sounds like. Sounds
like a dwarf guy.
I'm going to do the murder. I'm here to save everyone. He's cool. Like, it's interesting because like these games, whenever I play a beat 'em up, I'm really not into this genre that much. I've played a couple of them and I don't click with them. I don't find them that enjoyable because it's kind of just beating up the same enemies over and over again. And the combat, especially for older games, doesn't feel great. Streets of Rage, I'm not huge on. I've played some of Double Dragon. Again, not my bag. This one is the only one that has worked for me. I tried playing Castle Crashers. I hated that game. I've tried playing so many of these. This is the one that's finally worked because the combat is it feels so good. Like, you are so fast, you dash across the screen with this speed that just feels impossible for the characters you're playing as. All of the combos are really quick. So like you have two buttons, like I said, the normal strike and then your special. The special is slow. It's very slow. In fact, to the point that you can't combo with it. Most of them are just like one slash and that's it. You combo with your regular strikes, you end with a slash. Enemies die fairly quickly as well. So it's not like you're beating up the same enemy with the same slow combo forever. And it's because it's run based, you end up finding new abilities that allow you to have the combat be a little bit more different. So like if you feel those two moves are getting a little boring, you'll unlock something where like, oh, the last strike in your 4-button combo, which is just one button 4 times, which is the best way to make combo systems. It'll surround the enemy in a bubble and now they take damage and they're floating for a little bit. And like, how long can you keep your combo going? You know, you need to rebuild your mana so that you can use your Arcana because it's really strong and it can do screen clearing kills. Like the gameplay alone, the music, which some of it I think is done by who did the soundtrack for Doom?
Oh, Mick Gordon,
2016. Yeah, I think Mick Gordon did some of the music here. It's like it's a real fantastic soundtrack overall. There's a ton of other artists. I don't think Mick is the main one, but some of the boss music I think is done by him. Really, really good songs there. Just visually and gameplay, I think this is amazing. And then the structure of it is really good too. The structure of Absolum, because it's designed in this way where it's half roguelike, half beat 'em up. You're going through a lot of similar areas. So you start in the I don't remember what the name of it is, but basically just like the hub area. Every time you die, you respawn and you learn a little bit more about the world. It's like there's this war going on between a couple of factions, and there's this overarching evil presence that you're trying to reach by the end of the game and topple them, right? But along the way, you're working with this group of people who are part of like a tree family, and you help them out. They're not literally trees, but like the spirit is in a tree and all that. And you have this band of characters. One of them's a frog, which is, you should always play as the frog, I think. There's 4 characters you can play as. I think it's co-op, but I don't think it goes up to 4. Frank, is it just 2? You played this?
I think 2, yeah, because I saw it demoed at Summer Games Fest. I think it just had two things set up.
That makes sense, because you only start with 2 characters. So it'd be weird if there were like 3 dwarves and 1 elf lady. But you start in there, and then you pick your abilities you want to use and the characters you want to play as. There's this very straightforward set of abilities. They all do pretty similar stuff, but they look different and have like, this is a launcher, this is a dash, it's all that sort of stuff. And then you just go through. I thought it was going to be structured like Binding of Isaac or like Hades, where you'd have a couple of doors you could go through and the rooms were similar, but like generated a little differently. No, this is structurally a lot like a beat 'em up. You go to left to right each stage. Once you get to the right of the stage, there's maybe a fork in the road, and you could pick which route you want to take there. Once you've gone through once, if you die or get to the end or whatever, you can see on the map what all of the locations are if you want to go back to stuff. And you'll get similar things. But if you finish certain stuff, you can create shortcuts. You can find quick routes between things or unlock new paths that are actually like narratively very interesting. I've met new characters. I've seen things pop up that I wasn't expecting. It's very deep. This is, I think, I haven't finished it. I don't know if it can hold it all the way through, but just this first area of the game, I got to the final boss in it and I've fought it a couple times. It's really hard actually. But it's an enjoyable challenge. I think this is fantastic. I could see myself playing this for like at least 20 hours, like just on the gameplay alone. Because it's roguelike. I thought maybe structurally it would be a little slow because it is that beat 'em up thing. But no, like every time I've played, there's been a new story beat. I've seen a new like upgrade that you get from the sort of roguelike mechanics you can pick up. It's a ton of fun. It's just the combat system alone is absolutely, it's exactly what you want. It's like playing a fighting game in 2D. Finally, they keep saying that's what Streets of Rage is, and every time I go to play it, I'm like, that's not what it is.
There's too much Streets of Rage dunking happening.
I'm having a little too much rage in the streets about Streets of Rage.
Sounds like it. Just listen to the soundtrack and you'll feel fucking great. Doesn't matter what you're doing. It is a good soundtrack. That is true.
It's
a fucking good time.
Yeah.
Good time. Absolum. That sounds interesting. So the demo's up as well. Is the demo good?
Yeah.
I guess
I'd say it's basically the opening of the game.
Yeah. Okay. Feels a nice one. Okay. This is an interesting one. Yeah. Do you think this is one that's going to struggle to get eyeballs on it, as you said?
I think there's hype around it, but it's not crazy levels of hype. I think people who know about it are excited about it, and they're going to champion it because this feels great. Like if you've been waiting for a beat 'em up game, I get the feeling that this is the one for a lot of people. It's not as stocky and sticky as the older games are. It's not like, it's very fast paced, but I think this is the one for me. If you haven't been able to get into them before, this will be the one. I think I'm going to be talking about this for probably the next couple of weeks because I couldn't put it down.
Indie recommendation video?
I would love to. Yeah. And it's co-op. Right. So, I mean, if anyone wants to
somebody want to jump in there. I don't have, this hotel doesn't have video games. So I'm on a Mac here.
Are you stuck in there? We could record it a different day. It's okay.
It feels like I'm stuck in here. I feel like I'm just in like a liminal space here.
It looks like it.
In the back rooms.
You look like you're hosting a late night show in 2020.
I thought that they had done like a blurry filter, but that's just a blurry painting.
I said to Jesse before we recorded that looked like a like water damage.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. It looks like you're censoring whatever's in there with like a filter on the camera.
Looks like black mold.
Oh no, get out of there.
I'm going to be in the hospital like Jordan Peterson.
Don't
he's going to have died from that by the time this gets published, and I'm going to get hounded.
You're going to have to censor that name, and then it's going to be really apparent what we said. Jesse, have you ever played Turtles in Time?
I have played Turtles in Time.
And you don't like it?
I still don't like it.
He doesn't like Turtles in Time or Streets of Rage.
I might just have bad taste. Nope, Final Fight also didn't like.
Shit.
The only one I liked actually was the newer Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one.
Wait,
Okay.
what about Scott Pilgrim? That takes place in Canada.
I didn't like that either.
Oh my
Wow.
god.
I know. I just
Guy
the
hates
genre
fighting games.
does not. Listen,
Beat 'em
you
ups.
Shut your mouth.
Beat 'em ups, sorry.
Different. I love fighting games. I don't know what it is. I think it's just because I don't like how it feels to play those games. The combat to me never felt like it had enough depth, or at least that I wasn't willing to figure it out. Like, oh, there's combos and juggles that you can do in those kinds of games. Like, I know how they work structurally. I just never found it to be that enjoyable. The structure wasn't good. The story wasn't interesting enough to me. The music was great. Most of them have really great music. But I just never really could get into it. This one is quicker to get to you having a good time with the combat.
My thought could also be the context, because for me, it was like beat 'em ups were like the game to play at arcades, like X-Men or Mutant Academy with like 8 players with friends going up, dumping quarters. But yeah, playing them at home, like by yourself, like those are the ultimate co-op games and stuff too.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, as a kid, Final Fight is like one of my favorite games of all time.
That's not even enough for me though, because I played
Yeah.
Castle Crashers the whole way through with buddies. I didn't like that. I played Turtles in Time with buddies. I remember we played the Simpsons arcade game.
That's what I was about to say.
Uh-oh.
Now you're throwing fucking fighting words out there.
I'm sorry, I didn't like it either. We played it at Fan Expo, the fake PAX that we have up here, and they had an arcade game booth, and we were like, let's play the Simpsons arcade game, and I was like, yeah, it's funny. I'd rather be playing anything else.
That's hateful.
There you go.
I know. I'm sorry.
That's hate speech.
I know.
Absolum. I'm glad you found your one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair play. But don't you ever talk shit about my...
You know what?
Or
Give
the
me
Simpsons
a
arcade game,
week.
or Turtles in Time.
Give me
or
2
Final
weeks in
Fight.
this game. Maybe I will see the light and I'll go back and I'll play Streets of Rage and Turtles in Time, and maybe I'll become a turtle in time. I'll have pizza time.
Wow.
I do feel like Turtles in Time is like it's like a 3-hour game, so I feel like it's never long enough for me to criticize the depth of it, because it's always just like, let's fire up fucking Turtles in Time, and then just like it'll be over in a couple hours, and you know what I mean? Like it's so short, and then I feel like with the arcade experience, it's like, you know, you dump in $5 in quarters, and you're like, all right, well, we played it for like an hour. I'm not gonna keep throwing money at this machine, so.
That is a fair point. There's no reason to get all fucking sticky about it. Who cares? Oh no, the gameplay's not that fun. Yeah, you have fun with your friends, you jerk.
It feels like my experiences with that genre are always so time limited that I feel like maybe I don't have like a critical lens on them, because I'm just like, you know, if you had like one bite of ice cream, even if it was like shitty ice cream, you'd be like, oh, it's pretty good. There's a lot of sugar and fat.
and milk, cream.
Tasty cream. Laugh it up, folks. Absolum. Available now. How much will it cost? Any idea?
I'm not sure. Frank, you got the email on it. Did
Check the
PR tell
email,
you?
Frank.
Pull up the tapes.
Can
you pull that up for me, Jamie? Oh no, the dev said so. No, I'm not going to joke about that. Never mind.
I got the spinning beach ball on my MacBook trying to look at my
Oh,
email.
classic.
Fantastic. Love it. All right. While we're doing that, while we're trying to figure that out, Jesse, why were you playing the remix of the old Moon PlayStation 1 game that came out a couple of years? Well, the game came out in the 90s. Like, explain this to me. Explain.
Sure.
Let's go from the top. Explain what this thing is.
All right. So in 1997, Moon,
No, really?
Oh, all right. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a historian on the game or anything.
Okay.
Jeremy might be. I think you've talked about this in the past, Jeremy, if you wanted to give the 101 on.
Yeah.
on
The
Moon.
game is called Moon Remix RPG Adventure. The original game, I believe, is also called that because it is like remixing elements of RPGs.
I think it's called a slightly different. I think it's called something slightly different. Let me look that up.
Let's pull up the records here.
The price for Absolum, thank you, Frank, was $24.99. We got it here.
There you go. That's a great price.
But I mean, the PlayStation box says Moon Remix RPG Adventure.
There you go.
Yes, Moon Remix RPG Adventure. The new one is called Moon a Remix RPG. I know. I'm not. It's.
Oh.
Yeah. See, it's like slightly different.
Wait, the Steam page says Moon Remix RPG Adventure.
Oh, does it really?
Where are you seeing is this on Switch?
Moon Remix RPG Adventure. No, in the document it says.
Oh, I might have written it wrong.
Oh, you just wrote it down wrong?
Yeah.
That's just a typo, I think.
Yeah,
Moon
you just
Remix
trusted me too
RPG
much.
Adventure. Yeah, you're right. Sorry, it's the same. Sorry.
That's okay. It basically just wasn't in English, and there were like fan translations and stuff. And then the newer version, I believe, is a straight just like translation. I don't know about any like major changes if there are some. But But just, do you want me to? I can explain what this game is, but also I don't want to steal your thunder too.
Well, no. So like feel free to fill in the gaps if I make any mistakes or don't clarify something that needs clarifying. But the reason that I was playing this game was because last week I failed to explain what Hell Is Us is effectively, because that game is like there's a lot to it, and you are effectively in that learning along the way. Nothing is satisfyingly concluded until 20 hours in. So it's a bit like, how do you explain the feeling of not understanding anything for 20 hours and then having that eureka moment?
Games
without
criticism is
it?
a skill, folks.
I know.
We're
and
all
it's
still learning it.
I'm not very good at that part of it yet.
No, it's fine.
Not spoiling things, not my greatest skill. Plus, I never know what a spoiler even is until after I've said it. So I'm still working on it. But Moon, somebody recommended it to me after hearing what I was saying about Hell Is Us, because they were like, the thing that you thought this game was based on the marketing of a game that has no direction, that has no clear, explicit, check your journal for what you're supposed to do next sort of structure. It's because if it's not hitting that for you, try playing Moon, give it a shot.
Right.
Plus, Stray Children comes out at the end of the month, the latest game from some of the team who worked on Moon. I don't think Kenichi Nishi is working on Stray Children. I don't think he's part of Onion Games, at least based on their website, the director of the original. But yeah, I'm excited for that. I've been looking forward to it. So I didn't want to look like a poser. I want to make sure I'm also doing my homework and playing the original game. It's fantastic. Moon Remix RPG Adventure is like, it is just a warm hug of a video game. It is like an anti-RPG almost. It hates RPG. It doesn't hate RPG. It loves RPG so much that it knows how to poke fun at the concept of playing one of them. It presents you with this world where there's a world for somebody else, a world for a hero and a character that's more important than you, but also you're playing as somewhat of a hero or like an inspiration of a hero. People see you and they remember a different person that means a lot to this world. I'm not super far into it, but like just the way that it's structured is very loose. You start as a character who can't interact with the world, and eventually you can sort of. You're like a ghost wearing clothes basically. And you have these small interactions with these characters who what they're saying makes no sense until you start speaking the language of the world, not in a literal sense, but in a metaphorical one. Like characters will say things to you that make no sense. They'll say like, oh, we communicate by passing out business cards. You're like, what doesn't make any sense. Go talk to other people who live in the castle and you can give, and then maybe there's something that happens. Like so many things in the game are presented in this way where it makes perfect sense to the characters and it can't possibly to you. There's no structure. There's no setup that is super clear.
What's the gameplay? What are we? I don't know. I have no concept of like what we're actually doing in this.
Yeah,
game.
it's
Is it like an isometric
RPG,
RPG,
JRPG,
or?
isometric. Yeah, you're just walking around. Visually, it looks a bit like maybe Yoshi's Island, I guess. Like maybe less cartoony and detailed, but low quality. Almost kind of looks like a Photoshop kit bash of an RPG. Some of the pieces like have weird frayed edges on them. Might be part of the version that I'm playing on Steam, but visually it looks weird. Size and scale is always shifting and changing. It's like your character is way too big for some of the buildings he goes into, and their buildings are huge. Classic game design thing there. You maneuver by just walking around different areas. You can talk to characters, and you can also give them items to see how they react to the items that you give them. They'll teach you more about the world. It's also structured in a sort of 24-hour sequence, but like you have a limited amount of time you can use. So like, this tripped me up at the start too.
It's fucking harsh. It's actually really harsh.
I didn't. So this is one of those games you should probably read the manual, which is weird because like there's no manual. You have to go Google for it. But if you don't look it up, you don't realize there's this timer up in the top left with an arrow on it and then a line moving along a bit like a hand on the clock. I didn't piece together that it was showing you where the arrow is how long you have until you run out of time. So the first couple playthroughs of the intro of the game, I'm just walking around, and then eventually your character starts slouching. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess he's tired. I should go to sleep. And then I fell over and died, and it was like game over. I'm like, hey, I was just trying to get back to the bed.
It just hard boots you to your last save.
Yeah, you go back to the last save. So everything you lost is, or everything you've done up till that point is completely lost. But you retain the information. So like, is it that bad? It can't. You spent a lot of time learning stuff. So.
It also creates a situation where it like imbues a lot of specialness into pushing a little further to see something and then unlocking a moment. Like I remember a moment in Moon where I was like sure I was going to die. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to make it all the way back. I might as well just keep pushing on. And then found a way basically to like avoid death. And in so doing, discovered like this whole sort of like little narrative pocket with like a weird vision quest thing that happened. So it is a game that like, when you have to repeat things, it's often not that punishing because you've already like learned how to do them and where to go and what to present and sort of the sequence of things. Whereas like doing it the initial time, it takes a lot of time because you don't even know like. This is a game where you're just going around and presenting items to people and stuff. The core of this game is that you're spreading love, which I think is really nice. That like it's an anti-RPG in the sense that the RPG hero who goes around solving things with a sword is kind of like the villain of the game. Like you'll run into this like knight who is the more sort of stereotypical RPG protagonist, and that's the antagonist. And you as the sort of like not like I don't know. I guess you're the protagonist, but like the sort of like side character.
Yeah.
All you're really doing is like going around and like spreading love, like doing nice gestures. And that's sort of the only feedback mechanism that this game has is like when you do a thing that spreads love, there's like this whole fucking like heart sequence and you have these weird like moments where you're speaking to this entity who's like, oh, your like love level is like love level 3 now.
Yeah. When you travel around the world, you gain love by like helping people, but also there's these dead monsters that are I think caused by the hero, the anti-hero, I suppose, who's going around the world killing things with his big sword. And you could find their spirits and bring them back to they'll just automatically go back to the monster if you touch them. And then a UFO shows up and takes the revived creature. I don't know. And then you get love. Your character just turns to the camera, or I guess the player, and just goes, hey, love, heart. And you're like, all right. But when you go to bed, your heart that you've accumulated is like tallied up, and this scary queen disembodied ghost head in your nightmares is like, you're now the arbiter of love, and you could stay awake for 45 more minutes. You need to get 3 more hearts before I'll let you stay awake longer. And it's just, but it's so charming. Like the world is so much fun. I love piecing together what's going on. I'm obsessed with it. Like it feels like the sort of thing, it reminded me of playing like Outer Wilds or playing that structure of game where you don't know anything. You're going to collect a lot of information that's loosely connected that maybe you can keep track of in your head, but might not matter for another 2 or 3 hours. And when it clicks and you see what those pieces were supposed to be for, it's like, it's such a cool moment. It's what I love about playing video games is when I'm lost and confused and suddenly everything comes back together and it's like, wow, you have a brain. You're so smart. Look at you. Makes me feel proud of myself.
Fun little bit of information as well is that the English translation for this version was done by Tim Rogers.
Crazy.
It has a lot of his like sort of sense of humor in it.
That's
find
awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. I want to get the Moon Remix RPG Adventure. It's $19 at the moment up on Steam. This version you played came out in 2021 and is the most recent version. And what is the name of the game that they're coming out with, the new one?
Stray Children. It's launching, I want to say, on the 30th of October.
Okay, soon enough.
Yeah.
So keep your eyes peeled for that. Maybe worth an L wish list there. Frank Howley, you've got a couple of games left over here. Tell us all about them.
Yes, UFC 5. So this is awesome. So I saw The Smashing Machine, the new film by Benny Safdie starring The Rock about...
yes, I'm excited to watch it. I haven't seen it yet.
Based on Mark Kerr. So I knew nothing going into the film other than it would be about MMA, UFC, but I love everything the Safdies have produced and done, and we're getting an extra Safdie film. So the brothers split. So this is The Mashing Machine. The ping pong movie comes out Christmas.
Oh,
so,
he's doing the ping pong movie with Chalamet?
Yeah, Timothy Chalamet.
What?
Yeah,
right.
Marty Supreme. So The Smashing Machine, I watched it.
It's like Mad Libs over here.
Yeah. So Smashing Machine, going into the film, I was so delighted because I didn't know this until a friend told me the night before. Half of the film takes place in Japan because it's all about like the Pride Grand Prix.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I was like, oh my God, this is awesome.
I thought that's why you watched it. I was like, of course you're going to watch The Smashing Machine. It's a big meathead American being in Japan.
So I'll see anything the Safdies do. That's why ping pong movie, sure. It's Josh Safdie. I'm in. So I was like, like, oh my God. So as soon as the movie ended, I Googled like, okay, UFC games, Mark Kerr, how can I play as Mark Kerr in any UFC game? So in the early 2000s, a Japanese company made some UFC games for like Xbox and GameCube. Mark Kerr is playable in a bunch of Japanese wrestling and fighting games like Fire Pro Wrestling, all this other stuff. But Google came up because of this movie this weekend. UFC 5, which came out in 2023, they added Mark Kerr as a DLC character. And when you look up the like model, it's like it's Mark Kerr, but I just see The Rock as Mark Kerr.
Are funny, yeah.
So it's like, because again, in the film, he has like prosthetics. It looks great. And so, and then the other thing too, I came home and then I watched the documentary that the film was based on because I wanted to see Y2K Japan footage, and also just because like, yeah, it's anytime you see a film like that where you know nothing of the origins, like I always look it up on Wikipedia, but the fact that the documentary footage was there, I had to dive in. So it was cool to see the film, watch the documentary, and then I started UFC 5. So I looked it up. It is on Xbox Game Pass Ultimate or whatever, but I have a bunch of friends who have it on PS5 and we can do multiplayer. So I got the PS5 edition, $20 right now. It's on sale. I think it's because there was a UFC fight over the weekend, so I don't know if they just put it on sale every time.
That's a big one. And it's weird. The UFC 5 came out like 2 years ago, but it is the most recent version for people who are wondering.
Yes, and then it's funny, in the game, every time there's a fight, you can go in the game and bet on, like, you can make fight picks in the game, and if your fight picks are accurate, you get, like, extra XP and rewards, which I think is really funny.
Gotta start them betting early, you know what I mean? They're not sponsored by half the fucking betting companies in the world for no reason.
So going into this, I'd never played any like MMA game. The closest thing to this I have played is EA Sport Fight Night Round 3, which was
just
a 360.
Nothing like this at all.
Right. So I would argue like it is the best, even though it's a different sport. It's, to me, this is the best boxing game I played since that, in the way that it's similar in terms of the physics and like the actual control scheme. It almost kind of plays like Tekken, where like punch is your left fist, triangle is your right fist, X is your left kick, circle is your right kick, and then the way you modify it. So it's almost like learning skate or anything. The way and there's tutorials and stuff, but it's like, oh, the way this moves, the physics and combat in this is so fun. I'm so used to like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter, where there's inputs and stuff and it's snap.
Or WWE.
Yeah, exactly, which is like a different way of cheesing it. But here it's like every weight and momentum is in blocking all this. So I started a new career mode, and you can import UFC fighters. So I'm starting a career mode as Mark Kerr, and I've put, I would say, 6 to 8 hours already into it. And it's so fun. So the way it starts
is he passing his drug tests?
Yeah, well, so there's no drug tests involved, thankfully. So, but
not sure Mark Kerr would do too well in 2025, but anyway.
It's so funny because there's like all these dramatic cutscenes and stuff, and to me, this just feels like I'm playing a video, like a game based on a movie. Because it's like, oh my god, this is the coach is talking to him before the fight. But the thing I really like about this is, so you sign a contract and you have like a fight in 5 weeks. So it's almost like Persona. You know when the big dungeon's coming up and you have weeks to train. You can improve your social links with like other fighters. You can go on podcasts and talk shows and do interviews to hype up your fight. The more hype your fight has going to it, you get a bigger payout, you get more fans, you can post on social media, all this stuff. But the thing where I love about this is like the career mode is also the tutorial. Because before the big fights, there's like different things you can train. You can train boxing, Muay Thai, grappling, and then like takedowns and stuff. So like freestyle wrestling. And so it also has like the Oblivion, like the Skyrim level up system. So if you only use punches, you're gonna level up your punches. So things like that. So you can fight with your trainers. It'll give you tutorial prompts like give me 5 uppercuts and things like that. But if you knock out your training partner, then you can no longer train with that guy until the next like fight sequence. So I didn't know this. I was just like doing punches, grinding a punch, and then I knock out my guy. The thing stops, and then when you go to train again, it's like, oh, the boxing instructor's injured. You can't train boxing anymore. So you're locked out of learning new boxing abilities. So it's like, all right, let me go to Muay Thai, and then I started.
Wait. Can I just ask a quick question? Was that a guy holding pads?
No, they have no pads when they're fighting. It's just legitimate. So, but
he wasn't holding like strike pads. He was like, it was just okay.
Yeah, you can.
You were sparring. Yeah,
actually sparring, and you can fight like a boxing bag. But the thing that's funny is you have the chance to get injured during training also. So it's like. So it says anytime you don't want to train right before a fight because you can get injured and you lose stat points if you get injured. So it's like there's all this RPG sim stuff that is genuinely so addictive. And then you get to the fights And, you'll spend like 30 minutes in a gameplay loop training. And because I've just maxed out my kicks and punches, I kick them in the head like 3 times. I get an instant KO. Or maybe because Mark Kerr naturally has good stats. I don't know. So it's just like I'm like sucked into this perfect gameplay loop of like training, trying not to kill my trainers, doing the actual UFC fights, immediately knocking them out, posting on social media about my fight, signing a contract, doing a podcast sponsorship. And it's like, it's got all the right like dopamine. You're hitting, like you're unlocking the stuff, and it's like it's really, really fun. And it is really, to me, like the best boxing game I played since EA Fight Night Round 3. But again, there's kickboxing. If you want to do freestyle wrestling and grappling, you can. But it's so fun just trying to like punch people in the head and knock them out. And when you do it, it's got like Mortal Kombat, like slow motion fatality stuff.
It has like the Sniper Elite jaw exploding.
Hey, Fight Night too, right?
Blood squirts out. Oh yeah, and just like Fight Night, in the middle of a match, like the medics can call it and the doctor will come and inspect the cut. I think Fight Night had a mini game where you could like apply wounds. This is just a cutscene.
Yeah, you
but
could
there's
put the cold compress. Remember, you used to put it over the eye.
Can you pay off the doctor? So like, if he'll tell you what the numbers he's going to put up is, so you can.
Spill a bit of water on the way out, so you've got more time to recover. Yeah.
So like there is
All
a
the
mechanic
classics.
where if you get injured, you can spend like training time to rest and recover. One of the things is like visit mom. Oh, you gain like 10 HP back. Yeah. Or
Go on
just,
a podcast.
or
Again.
just like the smashing machine, you can pay out of pocket for drugs. Like that doesn't say drugs, but like you can pay money, doctor visits, plastic surgery if your face gets too messed up, and like and spend your money. And then you can also spend money. You can also spend money to learn moves with other UFC fighters. But if you knock out the UFC fighter you're trading with, after you'll start a beef with them, and then you have to fight him next.
It's brilliant. Brilliant.
So it's like
It's the nemesis system.
It really is. I'm so blown away. I just wanted to play any UFC game with Mark Kerr. Now I have this lifelike, like the graphics are so good. I think it's also the thing, you see this in WWE games where the base game came out in 2023, but now 2 years later, new DLC, the graphics look better than like the original models. I also have Mike Tyson and like Bruce Buffer, like all these random goofy DLC characters.
Wait, you can fight as Bruce Buffer?
Yeah. He's a DLC character.
Is his brother in it? Can we have Michael Buffer versus Bruce Buffer?
I wish.
They're just standing here on microphones calling at each other.
So yeah, it's I'm like shocked how fun this game is. And like, yeah, I'm coming to it 2 years later. It's super cheap. It's patched. But the fact that you can play as Mark, you can go see the Smashing Machine, play as Mark Kerr. You can watch the documentary on YouTube. I've like maxed out Mark Kerr for now. And I've known nothing of UFC and MMA, but it's
honestly, as somebody who's watched a lot of MMA over the past decade and has played a lot of these games, hearing you like come in with this like almost likening it to Persona is like
really
mind blowing to me. You've come in with this entirely different perspective, and it's like now I want to go back and play some more.
It's really good. I'm not kidding. Like it's so fun, like leveling up, and now I can do such ridiculous moves. And it's funny because I'm playing as Mark Kerr, but here I'm just a kickbox. I'm doing like Eddie Gordo moves. It's insane.
Amazing.
So that's why I was like, yeah, I would love to record anything.
Kerr's got some good fundamental wrestling. Like he was a wrestler, so like it works. Heavyweight though, usually those fights if they either end in the first round or they go the whole way. So
if you do an indie rec for this, I know it's not an indie game, but if you do a video for this, you have to overlay the Persona 5 music for it, like the ba-da-ba-ba-da-da, like the just going around the world music while you're visiting your mom and doing a podcast.
Good stuff. I'm so excited for you, Frank. UFC 5. What a beautiful time for you. You also played that new Sonic racing game, right?
Yeah, so Sonic CrossWorlds, this came out a few weeks ago, so I've been playing this like since it came out. Yeah, so this is I don't know, like the third or fourth kart racer that Sonic has done. They did Sonic Racing, like Transform, Sonic Team Racing. This is the new one, Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, and the new gimmick with this one is as you're doing your races, like the second or third lap every time, you'll go through like a portal and you're racing on a brand new map, and there's like so you'll be on one level. And then by the second or third thing, there's like literally these portals come up, and whoever's in first place can choose which map you're going to next. So the map will shift and mutate. So no race is the same. And so sometimes you'll be doing racing, and then like Diddy Kong Racing, all of a sudden you're flying or you're on boats and jet skis. So you're transforming your craft, and then also the level is shifting and mutating. But the team that does all the initial D arcade games worked on this. So the drifting and racing is actually really good, but also because it's Sonic Sega, it's just you're collecting coins. The more coins you collect, the faster you go. If you get hit or attacked by anything, you lose your coins, so that affects your speed. There's millions of items, so it's just as much chaotic as like the latest Mario Kart. But what I like this is there's trophies. It's on PlayStation. It's got progression. You can also level, just like UFC 5. You can level up your friendship with other racers. And so it's just I haven't tried the online yet, but
can you go on podcasts in this and like try to advertise your racing career?
I wish. It really is good. UFC 5's again, they got it. So it's good. It's snappy. It works, and it is generally getting positive reviews. There's a lot of DLC crossover stuff. So the base, I can't remember if it's a DLC or part of the base game. But
there's a season pass.
They need to put that in more
game.
games.
And there's
like the fuck. Sorry, go on.
No, there's a lot of weird stuff. Right now, there's Hatsune Miku, which was like the main thing I was excited for. And when you're playing as Hatsune Miku's like doing all the singing and voicing, and like the music has like her filter on it. So you get that little bonus. Forthcoming, I think it's dropping in October as part of like the season passes. Like all the Yakuza characters are going to be there. So Ichiban will be in it. I think there's going to be. I forgot the other big one.
Minecraft, SpongeBob,
Minecraft,
Pac-Man.
What?
It's a lot of weird. Oh, Mega Man got announced for this too. It is, it's bizarre. So it's like
TMNT, but the new one, like the new movie.
Yeah,
that's weird. All right,
it's almost like the Smash Brothers of kart racing games without Nintendo. It's just a lot. They're getting a lot of random stuff. Persona stuff is going to be there. So Joker from Persona.
But this is only if you have the season pass, right?
I think so. I think Miku's in the base game, but everything else forthcoming. Yeah.
Okay, so the game, it should be mentioned, is $70, and the season pass is $32. I think $30.
Oh.
So it's $100 of Sonic Racing there available for you if you really want to play
Minecraft.
Minecraft.
Up here it's $145 for everything. Brutal.
Oh my god.
If Shadow the Hedgehog had a podcast, what kind of podcast do you think would it be? Like a edgy politics podcast, or do you think it'd be like a comedy podcast?
New metal.
I was thinking he'd interview like Curtis Yarvin. That's a joke for four people.
Who's that? I don't. I'm not smart like you. I'm not smart like you.
Let's not get into it.
Is that your favorite eugenicist or something?
No, definitely not my favorite.
He's hanging out with Sybil Gatto. Not again.
Not my favorite anything.
Is this could my kid play this? Is it because Mario Kart's like really good at being, it has the assist mode and everything, and is this harder though, or
it does feel a little bit more chaotic, but you can shift it to like there's like the 50cc, 100cc, 150cc. So I'm assuming if you played on 50cc, the AI, they even have like an AI level, like, so that's easy. And then there is steering assist. So there are some levels where you can fall off, but I think if you play on easy, maybe it protects you. The one interesting neat thing is I forget what they call it in the game, like your gadget wheel. You can customize your cart or whatever, but you can get like perks to it. So you can have a thing where if you fall off the edge, when you respawn, you get a booster, not a mushroom, but the equivalent of a mushroom. Things like that, where like your drift charges up faster. So I abuse that. If you have more coins, so as you're playing, you're unlocking more perks. It's not necessarily a roguelite because you're customizing your thing, but you're getting, every time you play, you're unlocking more abilities so you can fully customize your thing. And so, and then the other, like, for me, I like this. You can play with all the characters set to Japanese voices, but there's a a nemesis system, a rivalry. So every time you start like a circuit, you'll have a character that's your rival, and there's like little one-on-one cutscenes. So like Rouge the Bat and Eggman are mouthing off at each other. But there's a unique mechanic where if your rival beats you enough times, regardless of how well you're doing in the thing, you'll be eliminated from like the Grand Prix. So like, so you want to make sure you beat your rival, and you can also
nemesis systems and everything.
It really is, and like it's funny because you always see where your rival is, and as they get close to you, they'll start talking to you. So it's like, oh, okay. It's like this weird extra. There's just a lot of systems and elements into this, which is kind of cool. So for me, it's like, oh, it is more engaging than Mario Kart Switch 2, whatever the newest Mario Kart World, which was good. This has a lot of stuff, so it's
this seems more like a kart racer. Sorry to cut you off, but this just seems more like a kart racer than Mario Kart World to me, because like Mario Kart World is so, if you play the cups, it's like it doesn't feel as consistent in its playthrough. You're kind of just quickly getting to the race and then doing one lap, where this seems like classic kart racer gameplay with all the sort of big spectacle moments that I was missing from Mario Kart World. It's like you don't see things change over time. This is like, here's a new thing in the middle of the race.
And so that's why I kind of want to try online, because also Sonic fans are also psychos. So I wonder, like, you take that's going to be nuts. And there's a lot of deep cut Sonic characters like Cream the Rabbit, Big the Cat, and again, they all have voice lines.
Cream the Rabbit?
Cream the Rabbit, and she has a little
Cream.
Yeah, they should
have
have called it.
Yeah, Cream the Rabbit, and she's got a chocobo on her, and so not chocobo.
Chow, right? Yeah,
Chow. Yeah. Look, this week has been UFC, Final Fantasy,
it's Sonic.
It's all
they all collapse together. Yeah.
And there is a chocobo kart
dude,
racer.
I fucking went.
Don't
I went
Google
to
Cream the Rabbit, jackass. You're in a hospital. You're in a hospital. You're in a hotel.
They're on hotel Wi-Fi. They can't track it.
No, this is 5G. The government has me on this one.
Oh, okay.
I googled it, and before I hit OK, I glanced down at what the autofills were underneath it, and the one underneath the first one was age.
It's a Sonic character. That's every single.
I like
the implications.
I like Cream the Rabbit mom. She does have a mom called Vanilla the Rabbit.
Come on. Boo.
Again, Sonic's cool. Like, you got to get into all these characters. That's why it's fun. That's why it's so funny to play it. And I want to play online, see who everyone's. I wonder if there's voice chat. If I could just be like, hey, what's your favorite Sonic character?
No, you can't.
Like Sonic?
The Rabbit. How old is Cream the Rabbit?
Anyone here like Cream the Rabbit?
What's
is Cream the Rabbit her name, or like the instructions? I don't know. Fuck.
Sonic the Hedgehog's a pretty cool series, though. Good characters.
What's Cream the Rabbit's podcast about? So, I don't know.
Man.
Makeup tutorials? I don't know. Taylor Swift.
Also, new metal. She does it with Sonic. She does it with Shadow. Her and
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Shadow and cream. That's what they call it.
Oh, man.
Creamy shadows. Creamy shadows. Listen to it now. Sonic Racing CrossWorlds. Thanks, Frank. Did you play it on Game Pass? No, you played it on PlayStation?
PS5, yeah, and it's got rumbles.
Spent 70 of your dollars on this thing?
No, Sega sent me a code. Thank you, Sega.
Okay.
But I also generally played it at Summer Games Fest. I got posters. It's all. Yeah.
Hey, speaking of Summer Games Fest, if we're talking about a racing, because this does have overwhelmingly positive reviews, I'm going to check it out based on what you said here. There is also a demo on Steam. Actually, that's probably what I'm going to do is go check that out. But a game we have not played yet, I don't think, but we did play it at Summer Games Fest, was that Lego party game, whatever it's called. It's probably called Lego Party.
It's called Lego Party, yeah.
Lego Party.
Yeah. And is it out? I've
September
heard
30th. It's out.
Yeah, people have said it's really great. So it was really great when we played it there. So I haven't played it since, but I assume it's great. I think I'm going to try maybe play some of that with my family this week.
Hey, you seemed shocked by review numbers last week on games, thinking they would have more or less.
Yeah.
How many do you think Lego Party has?
Oh, that's tough because that's like on a PC.
Yeah.
Like that's fuck.
Ballpark it. I believe in you.
I'll be honest. Because I know I could probably intuit what you're going to get. So I'll be as honest as I possibly. If it was a week later, I'd want it to be somewhere around like 500 reviews at least.
Can I throw a guess out there?
Yeah,
I was going to say
1,300. All right. Frank, do you care at all to?
Oh, I already looked it up. So
all right. You're confirming my numbers. I appreciate it. I need someone to back me up. 308 reviews on Steam.
Oh, wow. That's low.
All right.
Damn.
Yeah.
I do wonder if it's less of a Steam game. It's more to me like I wouldn't play this on Steam. I'd get this on something that's hooked up to a TV so I could play it with people.
This is a Switch game for sure.
That's true. I guessed high because in my mind this was a game that like streamers would pick up and then people who watch them would be like, I have to buy a Lego Party too.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's cross-platform. Hopefully it's doing well around. Yeah, for some reason that to me is one that I would not play on PC. What's another one though that just came out that might be worth looking at? Sonic Racing CrossWorlds. How many does that have? That's probably got thousands, right?
Yeah, that probably did pretty well. I would guess like 4.
Yeah, I mean,
pulling it up, it is 4,192 overwhelmingly positive.
God damn.
there you go. Well, Jesse's just the fucking Steam whisperer over there anyway, so he knows what the fuck's going on. All right, that's all the games for this week. House of Necrosis, Mewgenics, Moon Remix, RPG Adventure, Absolum, Final Fantasy Tactics, whatever the fuck it's called, Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, UFC 5, and a couple of other ones splattered in there too. And Cream the Cat, of course. Frank, we have one
Cream the rabbit.
email. Looks like Cream the Cat.
Cream the Cat.
Cream the Cat.
That's Mewgenics. That's a different Mewgenics, rather. Different game.
Freudian slip, Mr.
If you want to send us emails or Cream the Rabbit fan art, direct to us at podcast at noclip.video. That's podcast at noclip.
We'll take vanilla too.
vanilla the
No
rabbit.
AI.
Jeremy
no
likes
AI.
moms. That's all we're saying.
Podcast at noclip.video or in the Patreon Discord in the podcast channel. This is Kenny from Queens, wrote in about sandbox multiplayer games. Dear Noclip, Frank's experience with the new skate game, creating an impromptu objective around a glitch on a food court umbrella, reminded me of an all-time favorite online mode, GTA 4's Free Play. There was no progression, so me and my buds just spent dozens of hours organically finding things to do, including the infamous swing set glitch. Despite GTA 5's massive success, its structured online mode never clicked with me and my friends the way its predecessor did. Are there any series or genres that you recall having similar online sandbox experiences with? Any you think could find success with an audience today?
Ooh.
I got a quick hit for this one, but it is a game that is designed as a sandbox, so I don't know if this is like sandboxing non-sandboxy games, but Star Wars Galaxies was just like one of the best games ever for imagining the things you could do in this possibility space and talking about them with friends and being like, we could open a fucking robot shop on Tatooine. But that is the core. That's not like, oh my God, you can bounce off the umbrella instead of play the game. That's the game.
Right. Yeah, and similarly, I feel like the game that sort of stole this for a generation was Minecraft. Like, that was the place where all that stuff happened, where if you were playing with some buddies, you had to make up something because there was, no definitive objective. Or if you're in create mode, I guess you can just do whatever. But you had to come up with ideas. And then that sort of pressure created all of these sort of established games then within Minecraft, obviously Battle Royale stuff, a lot of came out of that, and loads of other like interesting modes and hides and seeks, and all these ones kind of came from that void that was there and the pressure that was created when people were in that void and needing something to do. It's very like, I love that Minecraft. I love the Minecraft, I don't know what you call them, game modes or, community game modes that emerge from that. Cause it almost reminds me of the games that happen in like a playground. Like when you just have a bunch of kids that have 30 minutes to burn every day, they just have to come up with stuff. Or my daughter comes home with all these stories about the game they made up that day and what it was. And it's like, I think that'd be really good. Like if they did a Minecraft documentary, that's what they should do. They shouldn't do one about like the, development of the game. Like
Hatsune Miku talking to her about making the game and how hard that was. Yeah.
What?
What do you mean?
Is there some Notch lore I don't know about?
Who's Notch? Hatsune
Okay.
Miku.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Sorry.
I don't know. I don't remember where that bit came from, but it's always stuck in my mind. No, the one game that I could think of that I had a sort of like sandboxy unintended experience, but it's still playing the game, is Modern Warfare 2. Is every time I got on Rust, I would do whatever it takes. Everyone who knows Modern Warfare 2 knows what Rust is. Greatest map of all time. Every time I got there, I would do whatever it takes to get every member of the lobby to switch to snipers and jump off the top of Rust, doing a 360, trying to get no scopes. Whoever gets the most wins. Oh, that's the only way to play the game. As soon as you get on Rust, you have to do that. That's the rule.
I do like in Counter-Strike matches when you would, was it CS mostly? I think it was
the
in
knife
CS.
rounds.
Yes,
Yeah.
But like but not the intent, not the like the ones that would emerge organically, or if you like swap to a knife. And then they're looking at you, and then all right, and they go knife, and we're having a knife fight. Those moments always felt good.
Yeah, Counter-Strike in general had like not only sort of like emergent things like that where everyone is willing to play in like a knife round and just I feel like usually in the old days like 1.6 people would be like knife round. I would say the majority of times no one would pull out a gun and fucking ruin it. Like it was honor among
Don't be
thieves.
a party pooper.
Yeah, but then like CS obviously had a really robust modding community and like surf maps and gun game and all these things emerged out of it, which again knives. there's like a sliding scale here where it's like once something is made into an official mode it's sort of
lame
no longer,
again.
No, I just mean like that's not really an example of what this person is talking about, but it is. I feel like those modes emerge out of the same impulse of like it would be fun to play this sort of alternative way of playing this game, but the game does not currently facilitate the ability to do it, so you have to modify it. But it's that same impulse of like, what else can you do in this world, and having to like bend the rules slightly to accommodate it.
Yeah, the gentleman's agreement in multiplayer games is so interesting to me. Like in Marvel Snap, weirdly, there's this location that can pop up called Ego, where the game plays for both players. And it just completely controls all your cards and movements and things you can do in the game. And you just have to hit end turn. And there is a rule in the community where if Ego pops up, you both have to snap, making it the highest risk game. Like you're trying to win points.
That's fun.
That kind of stuff in multiplayer games, especially in games with no communication systems, when the community outside of the game agrees that this is how you're supposed to do it, this is what, like, that to me that's what gaming's about, baby. Multiplayer games are about everyone coming together and agreeing, let's have a good time. I don't care what the rules are. We're going to play it our way.
Thanks for the email, Kenny. Appreciate it.
I did want to share mine was...
sorry.
Yeah, Halo 2. So before Skype, before Discord, my friends and I would come home from school. We would just hang out in a Halo 2 custom lobby. And like maybe a few people would be shooting or trying to glitch, but like I would do my homework, I'd watch TV, and we would just have our Xbox headsets on using Halo 2's lobby as our voice chat.
That is so funny. You're just red versus blue in it in there.
Yeah, basically. And so like I remember like I would finish playing like it was such a weird time. Like even before I had like a router, and sometimes I would have to like use my computer. Like, I had to take the Ethernet cable, plug it into my computer, do stuff, and then when I'm done, go on the Xbox, talk with friends, and then watch, like, Nickelodeon or whatever. Like, but the specific thing, too, was, like, we just have glitch lobbies. We're like, oh, let's just stack all the explosives and see what happens. Like, people were experimenting, and then, like, you'd hear stuff like, dude, you gotta try this mode. It's called Zombies. What? Yeah, let me set the custom road. And then, like, just like Playground games, people would figure out, like, the custom levels, which then became real playlists, like Griffball through Red versus Blue. That became a mode, but it's like people would mess around, make these custom game types, and then that would be in the thing. Also, like people learning to glitch with swords, it would just be hours of people trying to learn glitches. So glitch lobbies, and then same thing with Tony Hawk. Like for me, it was like Underground. You would just join glitch servers where people are just not trying to do score attack or whatever, but like, oh, what corners in this lobby can we glitch into? And you just spend hours doing that.
It's cool. Yeah. I feel like this points to, I'll keep this brief because we've been talking about this for a while, but I feel like it points to a really interesting sort of like game design is not like this separate activity that's like a specialized thing that you have to like go to college to learn. I mean, there is like game design that you can learn beyond that, but I feel like at its core level, it's this very human impulse to just like design cool experiences. So like I remember being in elementary school and like playing wall ball with friends, and then different friend groups would have like emergent rule sets that would emerge within wall ball. And it was cool to have like kids are just game designers by their own nature, because it's just fun to like tweak the rules of these little activities. So I remember there were like phases where it's like wall ball was all anyone did at recess, and then people would like fracture and have like different rule sets for them. So I feel like it's like we're talking about this within the context of video games, but it is interesting that this is just sort of like a human, like emergent culture thing that people just like to tweak rule sets.
Yeah, big time. Thanks for the email, Kenny. Really appreciate it. And thank you all for listening this week. We got a bunch of cool stuff hitting the channels. The Mewgenics preview, like I said, is up right now over on Noclip 2. There's also a bonus scene. It's like a 12-minute video, I think, of Edmund giving... We did like a Cribs-style tour of his office space. So you can check that one out there. We're starting to get a bunch of Patreon-exclusive stuff over on Noclip 2. And, of course, we could use your support. Noclip 2 we're super proud of what's going on over there, and the reception has been amazing, but we absolutely need more folks who are patrons. I just went to check the number. Guys, guess how many patrons there are? I almost don't want to ask for any more.
Is it 6969?
Is it 420?
It's 420, my friend. It's 420. We have 420 paid patrons, over there. Thank you so much. Yeah, we have 2,677 total members. A bunch of folks hopefully enjoyed our first ever zine that went up last month. Was basically first of the month. We produce a free game recommendation zine. So please sign up for that if you haven't already. Basically, you'll just get an email in your inbox every month asking you with a bunch of our recommendations that we've covered both here on the podcast and on Noclip 2. So go check that out. We are going to have a bunch of indie recommendations. You heard some of them talked about this week already. Looks like Absolum and House of Necrosis will have up this week at the very least. We're also recording a bunch of other bits and bobs because I am going to Australia on Friday. I'm going to Sydney for South by Southwest. I think I'm also heading down to Melbourne to that was a terrible accent, to interview some people down there. I'm talking to a bunch of developers, trying to get as many interviews as I can while I'm down there. And I'm also doing a talk at South by Southwest. I think it's a fireside chat with one skill up on Friday with Ralph himself. Whoa. The man the last journalist who owns a video game website. He's out there fighting the good fight like we are. We're like, hey, you know what? Let's bring back, let's do weird indie game coverage. Let's throw our bones into it. Let's make creative, cool shit. And he's like, let's bring back video game websites. Like, that's fucking
What's the site called again? Last week?
This Week in Video Games.com.
Oh, okay. This Week in Video Games. I thought it was a play on the John Oliver one. .com.
Isn't it?
There you go. I guess so.
Yeah, This Week in Video Games.com. Yeah. TWIV. This Week in Video Games.com. Go check it out. I like how they write their articles. They have like a fucking bullet point list at the top of the article says what the fuck the article's about. I like it.
Cool.
Does its job. Yeah. I'll be doing a talk with Ralph. It's one of the highlights apparently of their gaming tract. South by Southwest has historically not had great gaming tract. At the one in Austin, I was at it a few years ago. It was fine. It was pretty small. I don't think it was particularly impressive, and I don't know if it's grown since. That was pre-COVID. But the Aussie one has a very good gaming tract. I have been told about it in the past, and as part of sort of researching for heading over this year, I've been checking out the games that are going to be on there. It kind of happens, I think it's like wedged between PAX Australia and also Melbourne Gaming Week. So there's a lot of game stuff going on, I think. So I'm excited to head over there and basically play as many indie games as I can at the expo and interview as many people as I can. And we will do a patron meetup. I'll be posting over on this might be the first dual post we ever do, like one that goes up on Noclip and Noclip 2, just so everyone has an idea. Or we might just talk about it in the Discord, actually. That'll probably solve everything. I don't know Sydney, so I'll figure out a place where we can get together maybe and figure out how many people might be around for it. But we'll do some sort of meetup while I'm there for the week. But yeah, it's going to be a weird month because I'm gone for 10 days. And then Jeremy, you're also heading out on vacay in about a week's time, week and a half's time as well. So we've got some fun stuff planned though. We have, first of all, for Noclip on the main channel, we are keeping up with the monthly patron exclusive podcast being about film reviews. We are right now about to record our review of Final Fantasy, The Spirits Within. I can't wait to talk to you all about that in a few minutes. So we'll be putting that up. But we are going to be doing, there has been questions about what's the Noclip 2 exclusive podcast that is mentioned. So we're going to do something completely different over on Noclip 2. And this month we're theming it. I think we're going to keep up this theming. But this month, it being spooky season, we're going to theme our patron exclusive podcast, which will be at the end of the month, about spooky games. But it's not just us talking about games we think are spooky. What we're actually going to do is each of us is going to play a spooky game. We're going to record a spooky session. It's just like a fat session, but not as fat, not as long, like a normal, like quick look style, like hour or something, of a game that each of us thinks is the scariest game. So we're going to record one individually, all four of us, and those are going to go up on Noclip 2 over the course of October. And at the end of the month, we are going to do basically a vote for the patrons to vote which they thought was the scariest. And then we're going to ask you to submit your scary games, and we're going to do a podcast all about that at the end of the month.
Can we call them bat sessions because they're spooky and they're...
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. If they were Batman themed, maybe.
If only.
Fat bats, we can do a hat session. Man, there's so many we can do actually, isn't there?
Sure.
Mostly just bat and fat.
VAT sessions.
Vats are kind of creepy. I could see a vat.
Fancy. Play Iron Lung. It's like a vat.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a vat. That's the first time anyone's ever said that.
You do rat
Iron
sessions.
Lung is kind of like
That'd
a
be
vat.
fun. That's
rat
just Ratatouille.
sessions, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
There's lots of rat games you can play.
Yeah.
So keep your eyes peeled for that. And also don't forget to watch our Indiana Jones documentary and our Warcraft review podcast from last week.
Wait, you
And
should play
Jesse's
Mewgenics for 8 hours and you should call it a cat session.
Cat session. There you go. I'll do that once it's out. Right. Once or maybe Edmund will. Maybe I'll just do it and see if Edmund minds if I just publish thousands of hours of Mewgenics stuff. Disco Elysium still getting worked on as well, of course. I also interviewed the developer of Shipwrecked, Lente, who she made the game while living on a boat.
Wait, sorry. What was the name of the game that you? Was it?
Is it
Spilled?
Spilled. Okay.
Sorry, did I say Shipwrecked?
You said Shipwrecked. Yeah, I just want to make sure.
Sorry, I meant Spilled.
A horrible slip of the tongue about a game developer who lives on a boat.
Yeah.
Speak not that
How
evil
dare
into
you
this
make that
world of
obvious
Shipwrecks.
mistake.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'm gonna get a hex or something. That'd be so that was fun. I'm getting that interview edited down this week as well. And also Jesse's got a great video on all of his favorite Gunnar games.
It's actually a very meaningful video. House Party, by the way, I think you would actually really like that game, Danny. I'm not. Hell yeah. I'm not doing a bit. I actually think it's a very fun simulation game that also is about adult content.
I love adult content.
Yeah, there you go. It's two of your favorite things. It's an immersive sim and it has adult content.
Brilliant. Love it. Just keep your fucking Sonic characters out of my adult content, okay? That's all I ask.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Keep the cream.
I'll keep the cream out the rabbit.
Keep the cream and the rabbits separate, please.
Jesus.
Don't involve rabbits. I don't need the rabbits. But I need the cream.
Danny hates furries. That's all I'm hearing.
Disco. No, I love furries. You kidding me? Half of our followers are furries. Let's be honest. They're all here for Jeremy.
Why me?
I don't know. I looked at the 4 and I was like, who's the least offended person I can put this to? Probably. And I said,
no, I fuck with furries.
Furries
the IT
crazy,
industry would crumble if not for furries.
True.
100%. Could you imagine? Could you absolutely imagine? It's unbelievable. How dare
load-bearing
people.
furries.
We had load-bearing furries. That's great.
Culturally load-bearing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Shout out to all of you in power with the real power, not the real power, the cultural power. I need to get out of this podcast and talk about Final Fantasy, the spirits within. This hotel room is making me go fucking crazy. Thank you everyone for listening to the podcast, and we'll see you next time. Bye.